Okay, and now maybe it's just automatically going live? Oh, yeah. Fantastic.
DJ liking the beard.
Okay, now we're just live now, so hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. We're actually broadcasting. They changed everything on me with how OBS streams over to YouTube, so I'm going to have to figure that out because it makes this harder to do seamlessly. Anyway, welcome, everybody. How's it going? I guess we're not having our regular opening. We'll just go ahead and get right into this. Wow, now I've got chat on the side, which I don't usually have, and like everything is changed on. Well, I got rid of that, so that'll be less distracting. Anyway, hi everybody. Look, it's Brandon Grimm.
Hey.
And over there is DJ Martinez.
Hey.
Tonight, as always, we're going to talk to you for at least an hour, if not longer, about whatever you guys would like to talk about, pop culture, sci-fi, superhero movies, whatever you want to chat about. We're going to do a lead-in topic tonight. We're going to chat about the new title for the upcoming Spider-Man film, which was finally revealed in one of the more amusing ways I've seen. That was pretty fun, and DJ was following that as it was going on, so we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Brandon is here for no good reason. He just wants to hang out.
Well, and then I brought a box to open on camera, and I left it in the car, so I have to run and grab that at some point.
You had one job, Brandon.
You know, I'm always running around.
You had one job.
I know, right?
So you made us 10 minutes late, and then you didn't even bring the thing that you came to. Okay.
It's here, but it's not here.
Oh.
It's there here.
Okay. No,
I'll just wait for a lull, and he'll just head out.
I mean, I understand that.
Yes, but other than that, no good reason other than to hang out with my good friend.
If you want to make sure that your question or topic comment is read on air, you can leave a super chat in any dollar amount, as always, and that helps us a whole lot here on the channel. We are 85-90% funded by the audience, so we sure appreciate anybody that ever does that. But if you are not able, not willing, don't care about that, don't worry. We will answer as many pre-written questions as we can, and we sure appreciate you just being here. That is the coolest and most appreciated thing. And now on to the opening topic for this evening. So DJ, we have the title for Spider-Man 3, so no longer do we have to call it Spider-Man 3, which means if anybody says Spider-Man 3, we all know what we're talking about. So that's nice. Once again, got home in the title again, just as everybody suspected they would. For a second, when Tom Holland was just kind of futzing with us on Twitter, I thought when he made up a title, and it was, his was Spider-Man Phone Home, I think. And I got inundated with messages from people who were like, oh, did you hear the really terrible Spider-Man title? And I was like, yeah, there's no way that's what it is. And then it turned out that wasn't the case, because then the kid that plays Ned Leeds also posted a different title, and then everybody's, oh, okay, they think it's April Fool's Day, and they're messing with us. And then the actual real title was released in a pretty amusing teaser. I hate it when they say that something is a movie teaser that doesn't actually have any footage from the movie, where it's just, and Marvel has done this a few times, where it's just actors kind of messing around, and that's what that one was. But they were making fun of Tom Holland for constantly spoiling things, and he was like, he goes, what? Name one time I've spoiled anything, and of course we can name numerous times he's done this, particularly on talk shows. And the girl that plays MJ, I think, was like, how about the last title? And then and then they walk past a whiteboard that has all these different possibilities of home titles, and then in the middle of it was the actual title that we're getting, which is No Way Home. And I think that's a wonderful title. I'm very excited about it, and I have theories based on that title, which we will talk about. But yeah, so DJ, what do you think of that title? Do you have an opinion right away? Is there a better home title that you wish they had used?
I don't know. Everyone is so invested in this. They're like, "Oh, it's a great title," and I'm like, I have nothing. I just want to see the movie. I'm not a big. I guess I don't really speculate based on titles. I'm not really a title guy, I guess. Which makes sense because we talked about that with Spider-Verse earlier this week.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for the comments. I sure appreciate it, DJ.
Yeah, your opinion, nothing, but you know.
So, the title kind of gets my imagination racing, given other things, all the things that we know about this movie, and that it's pretty clearly a multiversal thing, and that we're bringing back a lot of actors and characters from other Spider-Man movie continuities. Immediately, just forgetting that whole thing, though, it's just a dramatic sounding title. So many of the home titles seemed like, really jokey and gimmicky, and like we're just kind of fishing around at this point. Like Far From Home made a lot of sense with the story that we were telling, but immediately that sounded like, okay, so we got the Spider-Man Home trilogy, which is immediately very strange, starting with a movie that had very little to do with that title, really, besides the fact that Peter was, or that the character was going to be in the MCU. So that almost felt like a slap in the face to Sony in a movie that they mostly controlled. I never fully understood that whole thing, but it was like, yeah, Spider-Man Homecoming, he's where he belongs. And there was a whole thing that was originally supposed to take place at the homecoming dance. There was like a big fight, I think, with Vulture that was supposed to happen there that never did. So like there is a homecoming dance at the end of that, but like that's not really where the big climax happens, and that title didn't have all that much to do with that movie ultimately. And then Far From Home, obviously he's in Europe. He's far from home. And then, immediately after that, he's going to be very far from home because he goes to space. So I think it's kind of funny that he's far from home, and then he's, like, really far from home, and then he's dead for 5 years, like half of everybody. And then, this movie is No Way Home, and boy, there's lots of speculation we can do about this. It makes me think a number of different things could be happening. One of them is, the question is, does No Way Home refer to Spider-Man or to something else? And you would assume that it is about the character. It's a singular character title. Those titles so far have always more or less been describing the character. So the first thing I thought, which I think I'm wrong about, was maybe the thing that there's No Way Home for is all of these other Spider-Man things from other universes that like wind up in ours. And then I'm like, that's probably not what they're gonna do. I doubt that they do a whole lot of like merging, especially if they bring in other like straight up Spider-Mans, like not just characters from those universes into the MCU. So then I thought, DJ, is it possible that what we're actually doing here is not just a like gimmicky blast from the past, like walk down memory lane for Spider-Man, but is actually like a universe merger thing with all of the different movie Spider-Man universes, where at the end of this is how we get Tom Holland out of the MCU, and we don't have to worry about the contract anymore. I'm wondering if that's what we're doing. I'm wondering if if No Way Home refers to Tom Holland getting out of the MCU and being in like his own Spider-Man universe now. I think that's entirely possible.
I'm not liking any of the words you're saying, but I guess it is very possible. I would not put it past Sony.
I don't know if I like that either, of course. I don't immediately get excited about that, but we had that scare, how long ago even was that now? It feels like forever ago at this point, but we had that.
Well, and it's going, yeah, like you said, it's been going on all the news outlets this week about how he's not under contract anymore.
Exactly. Like, we had that scare where we didn't know if they were going to be able to keep the contract going or sign a new contract, and the news for a couple of days, and the whole internet lost its collective mind over this, was Spider-Man is no longer going to be in the MCU, just all of a sudden, without really any warning, and how are they going to write him out? How is that whole thing going to work? And then they were able to put another contract together, but I have never assumed that will stay forever, and we know Sony is real... I don't know, really likes their ownership for Spider-Man because it's the one, extremely popular thing they have. So they're very protective of that character. And you've also got weird things because we've been really confused about how much the Venomverse is really supposed to be in MCU or not. And there have been various people behind the scenes that have seemed to not know if that's MCU or not. And as you and I have talked at length, Venom just cannot possibly be. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't know about aliens, and Avengers would have been several years before that, probably, in its timeline, if that was in the MCU timeline. And then you've got weird stuff like Michael Keaton at the end of the Morbius trailer. And now I'm wondering, okay, maybe Morbius takes place after all of this, And maybe Michael Keaton is in the Venomverse now because they've cherry-picked and taken a bunch of the Spider-Man stuff from MCU and put it in Venomverse now, and that actually is a shared Spider-Man universe like they always wanted. Is that possible? Is that what we're doing?
Possible. I'm
curious to know if anybody knows something I don't, because usually these speculation conversations turn into somebody in the comments has a whole article that I've not seen yet with something that disputes what I'm talking about. Does anybody have any information like not just rumor territory, but like specific like quoted news that could go against that idea that says no, they have a contract for X number of years, or like Tom Holland is definitely supposed to make like a whole other trilogy or something like that? Like that title makes me think that Spider-Man is out of universe and stuck that way. Oh, that's right. Far From Home does take place after Endgame. Yeah, of course it does. So he goes to space first, and then he's just not as far from home.
That's what it should have been called. Not As Far From Home.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that takes place. And of course, I knew that, but like a million things running in my head right now talking about all this Spider-Man stuff. Yes, of course I knew that, but yeah.
A million Spider-Man things.
People are just kind of talking to each other about Chris Pratt and Walking Dead. I guess they're not really interested in this topic.
Yeah, Lewis Cox says, I don't believe so. Maybe he's talking about what I was just saying, and you can't think of anything that would immediately contradict that possibility. I think that could be what's going on. So that's my guess. Yep. Anyway. Well, DJ, you want to start? Go ahead and get into questions. This is a Spider-Man thing. I thought DJ would talk to me more about this, but he's got nothing to say.
Sorry, yeah, I'm all. Someone said, John Kelling said, DJ feels so uncomfortable about the prospect of that line of thinking.
It's just
that's basically what it is, man.
He's done.
I don't like that the fact that there might even be like a multiverse of that movie. I really don't like the idea of it to do that.
It would be unfortunate because we just have not gotten enough character work done with him. And like, okay, so once he goes over to Sony, if he had his own universe there, maybe they could finally start pushing things forward and giving him some, I don't know, tragedy and pathos in his life, being Spider-Man. Wouldn't that be great? But like, it kind of sucks that we'll get him past high school. I bet he's in college immediately after that movie, and we didn't do that much in high school.
Yeah, and we'll talk about this in Mania when we get to it, but like we both talk about how Far From Home is just like a side story. It doesn't really do much at all.
Senior Nerd Holland also confirmed Disney and Sony has renewed and said there won't be any more problems like after Far From Home. Okay, well, if that's true, then it's possible that title is lying, like a lot of titles like that tend to, right? Where it's like, it seems like he's trapped in some other universe and there's no way home, but of course he will find one.
Yeah, that's what I assumed it was. It was just like a dramatic, like, oh no, universe hopping movie, and then he's like, he only has one way to get home, and he finally gets there. One way to get home just didn't sound as good on the title.
David Dilks, would you like a big... Then it's Endgame all over again. There's one permutation. Would you like a big battle between Morbius and his vampires and the Lizard and his lizard men? Who could get turned into a vampire? To be honest with you, I don't have any speculation for Morbius. That's not a movie I really care that much about. I hope when I see it, it's great. That's not a thing I needed. I would have been totally cool with Morbius as a supporting character. That's another character that's just, it seems like he's getting his own movie because we're doing an anti-hero Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man. And I always thought that it was kind of a bummer that Morbius wasn't in Blade, because that's kind of, the one big character I'd heard of that Blade had that he usually is connected with and associated with. It's another, vampire, half vampire. So I'm more disappointed that never happened than, I really care about Morbius having his own movie. So we'll just have to see that and see what it's like. I'm not holding out hopes for that being, brilliant or anything.
Says,
Connor, who is just speculating. Oh, he's talking about he's talking about Tom Holland. there's some argument about whether or not that was an actual confirmation, what we just talked about with Tom Holland, or if he was just guessing that they were. See, I don't trust that whole contract thing. Even if Tom Holland comes out and says like he thinks for sure that there's no more problems moving forward, like he's not on the business end. Like I don't trust that. It almost fell apart. It almost fell through, and they clearly, those two companies have different priorities. Hello, Dan. Dan says Morbius sucks blood in a society. He sure does. Okay, why don't we go ahead and get on to some other stuff, DJ. So if anybody wants to keep talking about this, that's cool. But you can jump to anything else you want to. We can go to Super Chats, we can go to pre-written, wherever you'd like to begin, sir. Welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for being on the show. Sorry about the weird beginning. But this connected strange, and I wasn't able to do my normal opening, and it kind of threw me off a little bit because I was not expecting that I was streaming immediately when I hit the stream button. So whatever. It's annoying. We'll get through it. Go ahead.
All good. So you want to be an Imagineer.
Hi there.
Could you see an animated 60s Spidey movie working a la the animated Adam West films? Same sort of goofy tongue-in-cheek references for the original.
Maybe. That's interesting, DJ. Like, I feel like there's not as much like nostalgia and reverence for that show that there is the 60s Batman show. Like, I think it's more of a kind of curiosity for most people, and is kind of like a funny thing to poke fun of if you've ever seen clips of it. But I don't know that has like anything like the fan base that the 60s show did, where people take it. I mean, I know they're both comedies, but where people actually kind of take it seriously. So if you did that, it would have to be a throwback that wasn't trying. I wouldn't think to be authentic to that style. I would think that you would want to do almost more like a Batman Brave and the Bold kind of thing with it, where the stories are more sophisticated, the voice acting is better. You have that amusing after credit scene at the end of Spider-Verse that goes back to that style. I don't think anybody would want to sit through that for an hour and a half.
Yeah, I think it would have to be more of a parody than the Batman ones, because that is. I don't know if you agree with this. I don't think the Spider-Man show is as much of a take as the Batman show. I think it was just that's how we made cartoons at that time.
Yeah, it was so it's filmation. Yeah, that's like saying let's go back and do a Star Trek the Animated Series movie in the Star Trek Animated Series style. Nobody wants that. You could do a throwback to that apes that style, but is more sophisticated in every way. But yeah, I don't think you would want to try to do it. And if you did do something authentic, it would have to be like little shorts. I don't think you could get away with even another TV show or like certainly not a feature film, certainly not a 90-minute or 70-minute movie.
Yeah, I don't think so. Unless it was like a Turtles Forever thing where that Spider-Man was in it, but there was also like a more serious Spider-Man too.
Well, and Solar Dragon brings up Spectacular. I think if that were to happen, a lot of Spider-Man fans would cry foul and be like, well, here's all these other things that we've been wanting to see return for years, and that's what you made? Seriously? Like doing fun throwback stuff with it in something else, like Spider-Verse, people find amusing, and it's fun to remember your roots and to go back to it. The only thing anybody really cares about from that show is the theme song. The fact that we have continued to take that and do things with it and orchestrated it for Homecoming and all of that. Like, people get excited about that. I think the majority of people have never sat through an entire episode of that show, and I am one of those people. I've never sat through an entire episode of that show.
I watched it when with my brothers as a kid. I wish it was on Disney Plus because I'd like to go back and just kind of dabble in it.
Oh, is it not? That's weird because that Spider-Woman show from the 70s is on Disney Plus.
Yeah, they don't have any of the 60s stuff. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's like a rights thing.
Probably a rights thing, yeah.
But hey, the 60s Aquaman show is on HBO Max. I might check that out. All right. CM Productions, with it seemingly all but confirmed that No Way Home will be Spider-Verse, what is your best case scenario? Here's $5 for the children.
Thanks. Okay, just so everybody knows, we already did the charity show, and we will do something like that again down the road. But tonight is not for charity. Just full disclosure, just so everybody knows. But yeah, I will when I get paid at the end of the month, I'll be sending all of that money. And thanks again, everybody who donated that night. It was amazing what we raised for that charity. If you weren't here, we raised a bunch of money. We raised over $550 that night for a charity out of Chicago that gives comics to children and in hospitals and to soldiers overseas, called Comics for Kids. And I'll be cutting them a check as soon as I get paid this month. So
cool.
That's exciting. And then I'll, if they send me any note or anything back, I'll make sure and read it to you guys. But yeah. Anyway, was there a question? I forget what we were talking about.
The question was, what is your best case scenario if this movie is indeed a Spider-Verse movie?
Live action Spider-Verse movie. Yeah, I don't know, DJ. Like, I can't really imagine what exactly that movie looks like in a way that will satisfy me and make me happy. Like, I guess I need it to be kind of the way the animated Spider-Verse movie worked, in that it still has to be a character piece for Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I need him to not get buried. That's the main thing for me. And I kind of want it to not be like Endgame. I need it to not be... And I don't have as much of this problem as a lot of people do with Endgame, but I certainly would if this was a lot more of the movie, like I imagine it could be. I need it to not be just a walk down memory lane and not just going back and playing our greatest hits. I really hope Tom Holland is not going into scenes from movies we've seen already. That was fun in Endgame to me in a way it wasn't for some other people. That is where I draw the line. I do not want to see that again, especially so close to Endgame and with a character that we've just not progressed enough yet to start doing those kinds of silly shenanigans. I need it to not be a big gimmicky film. And again, I don't need it anyway, especially because we already have a good Spider-Verse film. I need Spider-Man to not just be the Spider-Verse thing. I need that to not be the premise of Spider-Man now.
That's all we can do these days.
But I think best case scenario is we find really creative ways to use all of those characters that we're bringing back and actors, because apparently some actors are playing versions, like new versions of those characters, and some of them are playing the original versions, and I don't know what's happening, and it makes me want to pull my very long hair out. I don't know what's happening. So DJ, you're not going to agree with this, but I said earlier that I'm with you. I don't want to see Tom Holland leave the MCU. And I stand by that, but for this as a piece, as like its own thing, and the like creative ways you could do, the creative things you could do with that stuff, I almost feel like the best case scenario is it goes off into its own universe and creates this new interesting hodgepodge that has all of those actors playing various versions of those villains and stuff, put them in one universe. Now, if you could somehow do that and integrate it into the MCU, I guess that would be the best thing you could do. Because, of course, like a lot of people, Dan and I talked about this the other day, like, I would certainly like to see Dafoe come back as Green Goblin and all of that. And there's been a lot of rumor that that's probably going to happen. I don't trust any of even the apparently totally confirmed casting choices yet, because you got so many rumors and you got so many things that look like on the fence or down the line. You've heard I've heard some things say Charlie Cox is definitely going to be in that, and other things that's just a rumor. I don't know what's real and what's not right now. All I have is this title and the fact that this is supposed to be connected to Doctor Strange in some way, and that's supposed to be connected to WandaVision in some way, and WandaVision is already setting up the multiversal thing. So I don't think there's any way around this is interdimensional at this point. I think that's the absolute only thing we can be positive of, is that in some way this is multiversal and some characters have to be coming back. That's all we know at this point. And so it's very difficult to say best case scenario when I don't know what exactly that ends up looking like.
Can I ask a question that might be a stupid question?
Sure, yeah, no problem.
So
always.
If he's
there's no such thing as a stupid question, Brandon, with this, because I don't know what's going on. Yeah,
so
go ahead.
If he is connected to WandaVision, though, could he do that and leave the MCU? Wouldn't he have to still be in the MCU at that point?
So WandaVision's in the MCU.
Yeah, I know that, but that's what I'm saying is if he has anything to do with WandaVision.
So the only connection, and like I said, so I'm playing like 3 degrees of Kevin Bacon right now.
Okay.
So it's not that WandaVision necessarily has anything to do with Spider-Man. It's that WandaVision is establishing the multiverse.
Okay.
And Doctor Strange is about the multiverse because it has multiverse in its title. It's a Multiverse of Madness. Gotcha. And then we know that and we know that also WandaVision is supposed to be connected to that because Wanda herself is supposed to be in that movie in some way. Some people are speculating sidekick, some people are speculating villain, but in some way she's going to be a major supporting character in the Doctor Strange movie, and then that movie is supposed to be connected to Spider-Man.
I need to catch up on my Marvel stuff.
So the fact that that's going on, like, doesn't tell you whether or not certain things in the Spider-Man movie will come out of the MCU or not, because like Tom Holland's already in the MCU,
right?
And we've heard all these casting rumors and apparently some confirmed things of characters and actors from other Spider-Man movies that are going to be brought into this, presumably by doing the CW thing, like with Crisis, and saying that all of those movies happened in other universes that are part of the multiverse of Marvel at large.
So that's how you can get around any sort of continuity issues. You can just say, well, that's a different universe in this whole tangled web.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really an issue of continuity issues. It's those are characters like continuities that we've already finished. They don't exist anymore. Sure. We're not doing anything with them. And then if you want to bring those characters in as exactly the people they were, you have. Yeah. I'm having to explain to Brandon how multiverses work, guys. Sorry.
No, it's just how this spider thing is working. Because I mean, I understand some of the other multiverses out there, but anyway.
Go ahead, DJ.
Yeah.
Hello, Philip Kelton.
He put it in. Amazing. John Ty, $2 super chat. Do you like to listen to sea shanties?
That's a whole thing now, and like, what's up with this?
It's like a new thing. Oh,
no, yeah, it's.
I'm glad you said that because we saw that question earlier, and
here.
DJ and I were baffled. And
apparently,
I said this might be the night to finally hang up this show to just end it, because if we're scraping the bottom of the barrel to the point everything's been asked, now it's just, hey Cap, I don't know, D20 roll, sea shanties.
Even SNL brought back a sea shanty for their last episode, and it's this whole thing.
Everything
and I've been
comes
to look
back
into it. But I heard about it on the radio a week or so ago. That people are singing these sea shanties and also like putting other songs, like taking pop songs and singing them in sea shanty styles. So this is something that I'm interested in, because I love cross genre with music, like doing that type of thing. So yeah.
Dan's going back to the Spider-Man thing. Dan says, hopefully they transport into a scene from the 70s Spider-Man show. Yeah, and I wanted Dan to be specifically the one from that pilot where somebody gets hit by a car. Do you remember that scene? There's a hilarious, like, really cheesily shot car hit where I can't remember what exactly it is, but there's a thing with like Spider-Man shooting his web at this car, and it looks really like $5 budget, and I don't know. I gotta go back and look at it again. But I remember that scene being amazing, and I want that to be the scene that he jumps into. It's been like 3 years. I don't remember.
Yeah, let's just get the 60s Spider-Man theme as a sea shanty, and then that'll be perfect.
It could be. You could do that.
So was the question, how do you feel about sea shanties?
Just, do you like them? I don't know. I have no opinion
on that. To listen to them.
I mean, I guess it might be cool.
It's not a thing I would just put in my headphones and bop around to in my house.
You don't know that.
Brandon's going to look into it.
Try
it. That's his promise.
Then get back to us.
Diva 22.
I've never done that. I wouldn't think to just put that in my headphones and bob around the house. Go ahead, DJ.
Diva 22 idea: unboxing with Brandon Grimm or Grimm opening.
Okay, sure. I mean, if Brandon wants to open stuff on camera when he's here, that's totally fine with me.
Well, it's my loot crate that I forgot that I had a subscription to.
Oh, that's how they get you.
I don't know what's in this. So it arrived yesterday and surprised me.
Cool. All right, let's keep going.
John Kelling, hey guys, thoughts on Blade rumored to be PG-13?
Yeah, I knew this would probably come up tonight. So there was an interview with Kevin Feige, and I've not read the interview. I've just seen kind of the Cliff's Notes. Apparently, so I don't know the context of all of this. All I read, because some people sent me headlines and screenshots, is he said that at the moment there's no plans for anything R beyond Deadpool. Which doesn't immediately surprise me, although it is potentially disappointing. I think we just have to see the stuff they make that we were probably assuming or hoping would be rated R before that comes out. I totally understand the knee-jerk reaction of, they have to water down something like Blade and put it into something more of the traditional formula that you expect for MCU things, and that it's going to appeal to try to appeal too much to everybody and be too accessible, and we're gonna sell Blade storybooks to children. And I think
I need plasma.
I think you can make a. That's what I want it to be, actually. I want a PG Blade movie.
I want it to come out of his hands. He has pores that suck the blood out instead of teeth.
Well, then you have to have Morbius in that movie, though.
True.
But I would, I don't want to immediately jump and make the leap that that means that that's going to be really sterile and watered down. At the same time, there's certainly reason for concern. Marvel has been, their track record, in my opinion, has been kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. It hasn't been totally consistent with this. I don't think, even past, after Winter Soldier, after Age of Ultron, everything they've made has felt like the exact same movie. I know some people kind of have that. I feel like the envelopes were pushed pretty well with Black Panther. I feel like that was a pretty creepy villain, and it seemed like a thing that might have only existed in the darker Netflix shows before that. So they're willing to push the envelopes to some degree with PG-13, depending on the property and probably who's making it and who they expect to come see it. If they make Blade, it's funny I'm saying this because Ant-Man is one of those more formulaic things, but I think that has a lot more to do with just the fact that it's a comedy first, and because nobody really has a great vision for Ant-Man. They're just Ant-Man, we'll make it funny. It's Paul Rudd. I'm sure he'll come up with something amusing. He's got writing credit on too. That actually doesn't surprise me the more I'm thinking about it. But Blade could be a smaller thing like Ant-Man, where they don't expect a huge turnout, and then they'll let it go, more its own way and be whatever it needs to be, and kind of push the PG-13 envelope as far as you can before it has to have an R. It's going to be just violent enough that it looks like it almost needs a rated R movie, but it still feels like a good Blade thing. DJ, I would be less concerned about this if it was a Disney Plus show, and you're going to hear me say this over and over again with these things. After WandaVision, especially if the next couple of those shows are as good as WandaVision has been, and I'll say even if WandaVision doesn't stick the landing, because that took massive risks and has taken us all for a roller coaster ride, and even if it ends up not having the best ending, they certainly made a valiant effort at getting away from standard superhero formula and not being too worried about who might be watching, which was very exciting. And so, I don't know, I would not be as worried about the rating issues on something just streaming on Disney Plus. And I'm with everybody that lately has been saying, could we maybe just stop even having big screen movies and just let the whole kit and caboodle go to Disney Plus? That's kind of the place I'm in right now.
All right, John Ty, back again. What's the most tiresome discussion topics to talk about in entertainment? Mine is the long-winded arguments over the subjective versus objective.
Yeah, well, I'm certainly somewhat tired of answering that particular question. Yeah, that does come up a lot. There's, I don't know, DJ. Kind of put me on the spot with that a little bit. Does anything immediately come to your mind of just things that you're tired of people arguing about on the internet?
I don't look into that stuff that much.
But I mean, some of it's hard to get away from.
Just issues in pop culture in general, like the diversity in movies people keep talking about on and on and on, and I'm tired of hearing about that.
Yeah, it's pretty vague. It just says the most tiresome discussion topics, so it doesn't even have to be.
I think the thing I'm more sick of than anything is just particular buzzwords that get really popular, and then you can't, and things that might already be in your regular vocabulary that now mean something else. So anytime you bring it up, now the whole conversation has to stop so you can qualify what you're saying. I'm sick of that. That drives me absolutely bonkers. Yeah, I get what you're saying that about the diversity thing, Brandon. I'm both sick of hearing about it and sick of it also being an issue, though. You know what I mean? Like, there's a reason it comes up all the time. Because it's a thing that we apparently can't get away from in Hollywood. I can't. I hate that I have to talk about it as much as I do, but I'm tired of watching things that seem like they're like just hinging on, well, we have a diverse cast, so we don't need anything else. Like, I'm sick of that. So I do end up having to talk about that. I have to talk about things that are pandery, and I hate that. I hate saying that. I'm kind of getting sick of that word. Like, there's things that there's conversations I'm tired of because I have to be a part of them and I don't want to.
Okay, that's a good point.
There's certainly that. I'm tired of questions of, like, what is fact and opinion, because I thought that was a thing that we all learned in 3rd grade.
Okay, good one.
That's probably, like if I have to pick a main one, I guess that's the one where things will come up and people will try to act like things that are a matter of fact or a matter of opinion, or even going the other direction where you're just like, no, I mean, you can say that you like this movie regardless of what your reasons are. That's fine. That's a subjective opinion. But to be like, no, this clearly is in this movie because you need that to make an argument about how great it is, and that it just clearly isn't. We should all be able to agree on that kind of thing. So I don't know. My answer to these kinds of things always goes back to lack of critical thinking. Like, always.
Sure.
I'm sick of any conversation on the internet that gets away from critical thought. I also for the longest time was tired of the Batman versus Superman debate. I don't mean the movie. I mean just who would win in a fight. Oh my God, I was done with that. If we hadn't had that stupid argument for my entire childhood, that dumb movie could never have been made.
Would not have been made, yeah.
That kind of thing makes me, and really just, like, who would win in a fight in general drives me crazy. Stan Lee had a great rant on this back when he used to do Stan's rants in the early 2010s, where he goes, I'm sick of these who would win in a fight arguments. You know what the answer is? Just whoever's writing it gets to pick that.
Right.
Yeah, whoever the writer wants.
He goes, whoever the writer wants. He's like, if the writer has Thor fighting the Submariner, who's going to win in that fight? The dude that has to win to make the story progress. That's the answer.
Because that's not something that you can test with empirical evidence.
But you have YouTube channels that try, like, there's a really popular YouTube channel that just has, like, they make debates out of this, where like, they just go back and forth and talk about, like, power sets and stuff. And at the end of the day, like, it really is just whoever a writer wants to win. Like, you can make anything work. And so, if you want...
Superman could be having an off day.
If you want Batman to beat Superman, all you have to do is give him the tools to do it. And you can say that about anybody. And so then, you'll have people that actually, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes, like, if you enjoy those arguments, that's cool. I'm just telling you why I don't. That's not interesting to me, because we tend to sacrifice character progression and character depth, dimension in when we get real, like, obsessed with that kind of thing. So I get why people enjoy watching, like, the superpower beatdowns and those kinds of things, because that's just, like, fun action. I get why watching a fight scene is fun. I don't get why talking about it is fun. That's just me. But what people will say is, okay, well, you got to have caveats. It's like, well, who would win in a fight if, like, you have to use the power set that you have and you can't use any extra tools or whatever. And then you have to kind of limit yourself to what characters you're talking about, or it's really not interesting. Like, obviously, yes, Superman beats Batman in that fight. But again, even if you wanted to take all Batman's tools away from him, you could come up with some way that he's resourceful in a story where he's able to beat Superman. Like, that's why writing is fun, because you get to play God.
He finds a shard of kryptonite and just shoves it right in Superman's chest.
DGMC says, dude, Thanos lost to a rat. Exactly. All right, go ahead, DJ.
All right, Divid 22. Venom, the musical, and Aquaman, the musical. Yes, maybe.
I'd watch
Both
Venom
of
the
those
musical.
would have worked just as well as musicals, I think.
I agree, actually. Yeah, they're already so insane and over the top. I think Aquaman is vastly improved by being a musical.
That's very true.
Would
Oh,
it
I would
become
love
the
that.
Little Mermaid at that
But you know,
point?
yeah, sort of. But also, Venom could have as well, because I would have loved the like call and answer love song between the symbiote in Eddie's head and Eddie. That would have been fantastic.
Yeah, they should have done like a Sweeney Todd-esque soundtrack for Venom the musical. Perfect. Let's do it for the sequel.
There's a movie I need to go back and see is Sweeney Todd.
That's good.
I
I saw it once, and that's enough for me. But I enjoyed it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I finally want a fully developed / defined MCU Spidey to directly address MCU Uncle Ben and to adequately distinguish itself from Spider-Verse. Well, I don't think you're going to get all that in this movie. That's a tall order for a movie that has 18 cast members in it from other movies.
Yeah, this is another thing that Dan and I have talked about a lot. I feel like that's a character who just at this point needs a Disney Plus show, and I wish there was a chance of that being on the table. We just have not had enough time in the movies to really develop that character or even that world. I think that first movie got enough legwork done, and then after that we kind of goofed around for 2 hours. Like I like that second movie fine, but I've always said this, it felt like it was going off the beaten path. It felt like a side story. So I say we haven't had enough time. We could have used our resources better, certainly, but you still wouldn't have had the quite the real estate that you'd need to get into, as much of like the high school drama and like the some of the like politics of his life and stuff that you'd want to see, that's easier to do in comics. And so I wish it was serialized, but because it's not, we should be trying harder at it. I don't know.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing biggest positive we had for Homecoming was how filled out the world seemed already. Like, we've got all these characters and everything was, and then just screeching halt in the second one. We just leave the whole country and then we get one villain, and yeah, that's really just disappointing.
And then we have a huge status quo shift at the end of that, but it's a mid-credit scene, and like I guess you could say all roads are sort of leading there, like at least that happens because of the events of the movie, but I don't like that it feels like it'd be pretty easy to walk into the third one then without having seen the second one. Like all you need to know is what that big, now I don't know that for sure, but it feels like either all you need to know is what that big status quo shift is, or when you get at the beginning of that third movie, they resolve it in 5 minutes, like a lot of us are worried that they'll do.
Yeah. All right. Because of your rant, we've got a couple super chats that just came in. I'm going to go ahead and skip to these ones because John Kelling says, who would win in a fight, Cap or DJ?
DJ, hands
Thank
down.
you for the $2.
Easy. No
Thank
problem.
you for the $2 donation. Second one is from Bag Studios, who also gave us $2 and is very angry that John Kelling beat him to the punch. Said, who would win in a fight, DJ
Punch.
Brandon or Dan Torrey?
My
whole battle royale.
I think that's closer than me versus
Are we
DJ.
all fighting everyone?
Oh, I thought you just said Brandon versus Dan.
No, DJ Brandon or Dan Torrey. I don't know if it's like a free-for-all or if
It sounds like it's a
doing
free-for-all.
matches and then
Or
there's a
what are they? The
tiebreaker.
Mexican standoff where we're all pointing guns at each other.
yeah,
It's the
that's what
three
it
of
is.
you in a cage match.
Cage match.
And I lose because I've never
Ah.
shot a gun in my life.
Well, I mean, I probably got some moves like press my shoulder, karate chop action.
No, clearly Dan wins that.
That would be great. I would love to be taken down by a karate chop action from Brandon. Maybe we can establish that someday. Super Billy with another super chat, $5. I don't think and certainly hope it'll be a walk down memory lane since they're further expanding the multiverse.
Yeah, I mean, like that's again, that's the hope, and I think that there's a better chance of that than the walk down memory lane thing. I just don't put it past them. And you could say, well, like, all those actors are older now, so they probably wouldn't try to just have them refill the same roles and be in some of the same scenes, but we keep doing the de-aging thing in MCU. And one of the things that keeps giving me pause, DJ, and the reason that I was a little bit worried about that, it's maybe not the biggest thing to be concerned about. I'm just saying there's a chance it could happen. I think that the main reason I even jumped to that when all this news first came out, as much of it as is actually news, is that we've got actors returning allegedly as the specific characters they played who are dead. So at the very least, some of them have to be pulled out of their timeline before they died with, like, the memories they have up to that point, I would assume. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. This is very difficult to speculate about.
They screwed up when they reversed.
Dan says he didn't sign up for a cage match.
Oh. Oh boy. Well, I guess I didn't either, but here we are.
Well, he's really gonna win now because he's pissed. He even has to be there. Like, you guys are done for. If he had known he was going to be,
I'll use my resourcefulness.
DJ, we can't hear you, man. If we had known, if Dan had known that, he would have made sure and brought his saw, so he could be bone saw.
Lewis Cox, Cap. Does Brandon have a brother? The new Brothers Grimm?
Yeah.
He does not. Brandon only has a sister, I think.
Well, so actually, it's
have,
more
like, a
complicated. That my sister is actually my half sister, and
That's
I
right,
had two
that's
half
right.
brothers. I grew up with her. I have two half brothers I've never met, and my sister has two half sisters she has met. So it's a mixed bag. But as far as it goes, no, I have a sister. So the siblings Grimm, but I've got Grimm cousins. Cousins Grimm.
Cousins
We've joked
Grimm.
about
There
that
you go.
before.
That's good enough. That's good enough to get a novella out or something.
You know, so interesting about the Brothers Grimm, like you can trace the lineage back to them, but I wanted, if I'd been a writer, I always wanted to write the new Grimm's fairy tales, and then that television show came on the air and kind of did that.
Oh, I guarantee you there's like 700 books that are that thing.
No,
They might
I
not
know,
be
but
called
like I
that,
wanted
but-
it to be like by a Grimm, and then like maybe
Yeah.
have an adaptation, but then the television show took care of the adaptation, like I
Okay.
kind of envisioned.
Well, there you go. See, that's something that you can mark off your to-do list. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
SX
Also, let's
Trey.
face it, that was right there. That was going to happen at some point. Like,
Yeah, I know, right?
Cap, have you ever seen the Avatar: The Last Airbender? Thoughts if you have. Nick and Paramount Plus just created an Avatar studio to create new content. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it with Jason. That's
weird.
from
Jason has watched some of that show and really likes it. I still have not gotten into that. That comes up a lot. People are still really trying to get me to watch that.
I imagine because it's a really character-driven kid show. I imagine that's why people, and it's got a really good villain who's not.
Yeah, I've just never bothered with it because it's like animation that doesn't immediately appeal to me, and a lot of cartoons from that period, are just past my time, where like they're not for me, and I tend to watch them, and I'm like, I mean, I get why if I was a kid, when this came out, I would have loved it, but I'm just like I'm kind of past it. It's kind of not for me anymore. So yeah, like I've watched a little bit of that show over Jason's shoulder, and I'm like, this seems fun if I was a kid, but like it's a thing I have a hard time getting into. So maybe at some point I'll try to take a deep dive with that, but it doesn't immediately appeal to me. I don't know. Somebody, I don't want to be mean when I say this, but somebody in a later super chat asked what question I'm most tired of. That's one of them. That's in there. Comes up all the time, and I don't have a good answer. I've not watched much of it. I have not cared for it. I can't get into it. It's the same thing as like Clone Wars. It doesn't appeal to my sensibilities immediately.
Yeah, we all have those types of things, I think. Super Billy, again, $2. Be cool to see 3 live-action Spider-Man interact.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of people that's a cool novelty
opinion?
for. I just don't need that. That does not excite me in any way. Like, I don't need to see Tobey Maguire come back and play that. I don't like the idea of Garfield coming back if he doesn't get to make his last movie. Like, if they, and I'm a broken record, it's hard not to say all the same stuff I've said about this before, but if the announcement had been Garfield's going to get to come back and finish his trilogy at the same time as they're doing MCU Spider-Man, I would have been all over that. Just get it out of the way. Finally, we get to see how that might have ended. That would be cool because it's a cliffhanger. There's no good reason. It's sort of a cliffhanger. Like, they're building the Sinister Six. They're making a big deal through all of 2. Sinister Six is coming, you guys, and that never happens. You got the guy in the stupid hat. We never resolved all of that. And then, like if we finally could have gotten, so there's no reason to ever go back to those now, really. I mean, except the first movie, I think it's a pretty good origin movie, despite some of the contrivances that's initially built on. So it's maybe worth going back to for that. I don't see any reason to ever go back and watch 2 again, and I don't dislike that movie as much as a lot of people do, but like, so much of that was set up for something that was supposed to happen after it, and not satisfying answers to questions I was not asking about his dad. So it would have at least rounded that off, and we would have had a complete piece after that, and that would have been nice. But I don't need Garfield interacting with Tom Holland. And again, I'm a broken record. We already had the Spider-Verse movie. We already got to see a lot of like different Spider-Man characters interacting, and it was kind of more fun to me. And it's weird that I'm saying this, and I don't mean to sound hypocritical, because I made that whole argument with the BVS Rewind about how it would have been nice if we could have spent some time with Batman before the novelty of he and Superman get together. But because they're all new characters, it worked really well to be introduced to them that way. And I just don't need to get reintroduced to Spider-Mans I didn't think were ever coming back again. And some of it too is just I'm not as big of a Spider-Man fan as I am other things. So like I love the and I mean with movies, like, it's not the novelty for me that getting something like Days of Future Past was. This is my favorite iteration of live action Spider-Man, what we have right now. I don't need to go backwards. Third time was the charm for me. They finally nailed it. And I don't need to go backwards. I get that this is some people's childhood. I'm older than that. I was already nearly an adult when the Raimi movies started coming out, and so I don't have the same sense of nostalgia that kids that were 5 when they first saw those movies have. So I just don't need that.
Yeah, it's weird because like that was the whole thing earlier where they're asking what the best case scenario is. The best case scenario is already been done in Spider-Verse. Like, it's just a premise thing. They're just in the universe. They're just there to teach Tom Holland something, and then they leave. Like, I don't know what you do. Like, what can Toby teach Tom Holland? Anything that he can teach him, he had to have learned like between movies. Now that he's old.
No, I think Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield both have a bunch of stuff to teach Toby.
Exactly. Like, that's what I'm saying. Anything that Toby has to teach Holland would be something that he would have learned after those movies ended.
But Maguire, yeah.
So, like, if he's going to have to teach him something that we didn't see on screen anyway, then it doesn't have to be Toby. It could be just an older Spider-Man. It doesn't make sense.
But also, we've done nothing but mentors teaching Spider-Man stuff. Could he please go off and try to... all by himself?
That's quite the rant.
He ranted his microphone off.
Be fantastic.
Like,
yeah, seriously, let's let the kid learn something on his own instead of having someone in every single movie.
You know why he hasn't really made any like big giant mistakes that have impacted his life in real negative ways yet? It's because he's had a mentor that's always been there to show him the ropes. He hasn't been able to make any big mistakes yet.
Daniel Davis says, how to be a better emotional crier. That's good.
What kind of mistakes would you like to see Spider-Man make?
Anything.
Personal growth.
Stuff that gets somebody close to him killed or creates a supervillain. Spider-Man stories. I like those movies fine. I don't mean to be hypocritical, but we're wasting time. And it was exciting to get a kid that was a really great like teenage Spider-Man to finally go that young, and he actually looked like a teenager in the first place, and it wasn't the Tom Welling thing. And by the time we finally are gonna progress some narrative, he's gonna be 29, 30 years old.
Victor Herman. What do you think about the MCU never fully adapting Demon in a Bottle? Do you think we'll ever see topics like that tackled in the MCU since we did it in Marvel Comics? Harry Osborn comes to mind.
Yes, on Disney Plus. That's where those things will happen. We're already doing, and like not that kind of thing exactly, but we're already doing those kind of smaller more personal, tragic, sadder stories in WandaVision. The closest we got, again, I know this is the example I always go to, but like we made Winter Soldier, and that might have made me think we could do something like Demon in the Bottle down the road. But of course, that never happened with Tony. I still think you might see that adapted with Rhodey or another character that is connected to Iron Man in a Disney Plus show. But no, I don't see that ever in a movie. I would think, all things being equal, if at some point we get back to most movies are going to the movie theater, we're making those kinds of blockbusters again. That's just assuming that happens. I don't know that it will. I still say the future has to have been changed irrevocably, whatever that ends up looking like. But let's say we got back to that. I would think that the Disney Plus shows, being the experimental proving ground, would make Marvel maybe double down on the formulaic nature of some of the movies, where it's like, that's the safe place. That's the place for things that we want to make sure that we make our money back and make $1 bazillion and make accessible to everybody. So I wouldn't expect something like a smaller, personal, gritty story like that on the big screen. I would expect it on the small screen, and that frankly would be the place to tell it. I'm not saying that I want these things to get more formulaic. I also think there's every possibility that Eternals and Shang-Chi specifically will be really different and unlike anything we've had before, but they're gonna be grander, more accessible things for everybody, certainly. Even if those are really interesting and unusual and break some structure a little bit, you're probably not going to see Demon in the Bottle in something like that.
Cap, I'll be right back.
Okay, we'll see you later, Brandon. Brandon will be right back.
BRB, 5 minutes.
But I'm not. It's going to take you that long. But I'm not going to do a commercial break now, because I don't have anything clever on hand to make like a WandaVision kind of commercial. Okay, go ahead, DJ.
Next super chat, $5 from Kevin Spacey.
Thanks,
Cap,
man. What's up?
What Fincher films have you seen aside from The Social Network?
Oh man, I would have to look at a list and remind myself what things he made that I actually saw. Because
I'm so glad you saw that, by the way. I'm glad you're finally seeing some of Andrew Garfield's movies. Oh, with Hacksaw Ridge a couple weeks ago,
I didn't even know he was in that until I turned it on, and I was like,
yeah,
oh, look, a month away, I'm watching 2 different Garfield movies that aren't Spider-Man. Yeah, Fincher, I knew primarily from House of Cards.
7? Gone Girl?
He co-created that. I don't know if I've seen any of his actual movies.
Zodiac, we've both started. We've never finished. We need to finally finish that together.
We talked about doing a blind commentary where we watch the first part and talk about how great it is, and then we just stop talking for the rest of it.
No, yeah, I'm glad you finally saw that. That was where I first saw Andrew Garfield, 2010. That was like one of the first movies that I saw like right out of high school. I was like, oh, these are real movies.
I've never seen anything else he's made. I've only seen House of Cards.
But yeah, Social Network's great. I gotta listen to the rest of your review on that because I really love that movie.
Thanks,
another
man.
one I would recommend, Andrew Garfield movie, 99 Homes with Michael Shannon. He did. Check that out. Hopefully someone will...
Oh, he made Fight Club. I knew that. Yeah, okay.
Review that.
So yeah. So I've seen his arguably biggest film, or one of his biggest films.
I've seen The Curious Case of Benjamin Button one time.
That's weird he made that. I didn't realize he directed Alien 3. That's the first thing he made. Weird.
Yeah. I've seen part of that movie, but I stopped.
It's not great. I thought it was a little dull.
Yeah.
Maybe a little too influenced by Predator.
Lewis Cox. Oh, here's that one you were talking about. You kind of answered it. What question are you tired of?
Guys, it's been like a decade, to be fair, since I reviewed Fight Club, and I totally forgot that was Fincher. But yes, of course, that's Fincher.
Yeah. So yeah, you already kind of answered that one from Lewis Cox. What question are you tired of?
Well, I was joking mostly when I said that.
Okay.
There's a couple questions that I never feel satisfied with my answer on that will occasionally come up. I did a post about this the other day about like least favorite comic character. I never feel happy with my so I made a list of like 10 and posted it where I was like, I'm not on the spot and I can just like rack my brain and write a list. So like I was kicking myself last week for not seeing Joker's daughter. I freaking hate her. She's the worst. But yeah, I don't know. There's some kind of there's more questions that I just get a little bit uncomfortable talking about, where like I'm willing to try, but just because I feel like I don't know enough, or I'm not like really qualified to deal with. When particularly like I don't know, like we were talking about earlier, like internet culture stuff. There have been things that people have brought up that I just don't have a dog in the fight for.
Sea shanties.
So like if I had a particular, no, Brandon, if I had an opinion one way or the other, I would probably be cool with sharing it. But things like Comicsgate, that's come up a couple times. The first time that came up, I didn't even know what it was. I don't have a dog in that fight. All I've really been able to say about that whole thing is I don't like how like volatile the politics overall with comics got. And I don't mean you can't tell political stories. People always misconstrue me when I say that. I mean in the actual publishing world, and especially at Marvel, a lot of things getting too pandery and kind of seeming like it's isolating part of an audience, going, if you don't agree with like this list of things wholesale, don't buy our books. I just have never liked that. It's really like not thoughtful and kind of closed-minded, and that's always bothered me. It's like, if you want to write a political story, like make a case. As opposed to telling me I'm an idiot or I'm a horrible human being if I'm not already with you on it. Many of those stories are things where the politics I actually probably agree with. I just don't like the way it's presented, and we're not actually really telling a story. But as far as the actual like fan politics with things like Comicsgate, God, I don't care. I hate that kind of thing is gotten to us. I hate the division with everything now. So I don't know. It's frustrating to have to talk about those things. So it's less like I'm sick of you guys bringing up these questions, and more I hate that where we're at in the world now, we're all thinking about this stuff and we can't help but talk about it.
It is the new way.
So yeah, on another important note, Connor Nielsen, $4.99.
Hi, Connor.
Having analyzed the stats, I can deduce that were I to fight DJ hand to hand, he'd destroy me, but I could defeat him in a duel.
Who's writing you today?
Yes, you could, Connor. I didn't know you were a shooter. Good to know. I will keep that in mind. Snuffles writes.
So we'll just make sure that it's... I love it when Snuffles leaves a question, because you're always forced to say Snuffles writes. It's the best.
I'm not forced to. I just do it. I don't say anyone else writes when I read their questions, but for some reason I do.
True. That's true.
She asks, here's $5. I love Mass Effect. Bucky is better than Falcon. Come on, DJ, say it. You know it's true. So she just gives a lot of statements.
Yeah, so she just likes to go back and keep constantly harassing us about things she's harassed us about before. Thanks, Snuffles. Really appreciate it. So, you're on the docket, I think, in a couple weeks, and I'll be getting to Mass Effect 2 soon. She requested that. Ooh. She wants me to talk about it. I don't know if I'm going to do just a little bit of live streaming, or if I'm going to play a few hours and then get on camera and talk about it. Obviously, I'm not going to have time to play through the whole thing before I talk about it, but she just asked me to play a couple hours and give my initial impression. And by that I mean my opinion, not like shooting noises. And then the second, thanks, Brandon. And then the then the second
that's what he's here for.
Is you're wrong. So you're never gonna win me over on that, Snuffle. She's obsessed with Bucky. I'm obsessed with Falcon. This is an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object.
Oh man, I love those equations.
Yeah, Dan says rifle shooting is fun. I've at a shooting range, or actually I wasn't even at a range. Just somebody's farm where they have stuff set up to do like practice shooting. I think last year I got to try a few things I hadn't tried before.
Really?
So I did, yeah. So I've shot a rifle, and I've shot a couple different kinds of handguns, and I found the handgun thing more fun to do target practice than rifles.
I've never shot anything over a BB gun.
That was not for me. My wife, it's really funny. My wife loved rifle shooting, and she hit targets better than I did. But I was better with like a police handgun. So
you can't pick the fleas off a dog at 30 yards.
No, I can't. But yeah, I never cared about that kind of thing. That never really appealed to me, but it was more fun than I expected it to be. Just shooting for sport. I have no interest in hunting or anything like that. Just shooting at a target. That was more fun than I expected it to be. Yeah, not a thing I do all the time, probably, but it's very loud.
Victor Herman. Cap, though it's super dark, I feel like you'd love Seven. Another Fincher movie.
Yeah, and now I'm racking my brain going, did I actually see that movie at some point? No, I don't think I have.
Pretty sure you'd be scarred for life if you had. I've heard it's...
No, I do need to sit down and finally watch that. No, I know what that is. I'm like, did I ever actually watch that? No, I don't believe I have seen that movie.
I hear that's one that sticks with you. We had to watch in one of my classes in college when we were studying motion graphics. We had to watch a lot of title sequences for movies, and we had to watch the title sequence for that movie, and just the title sequence is horrifying and gross. TH1, I started watching Buffy for the first time. What season of Buffy is your favorite? After Dark tonight? No. You ate the best on YouTube. What?
I did? I ate the best on YouTube.
How dare you?
For breakfast.
You're not supposed to tell anybody about that.
I don't know if he's saying you ate the best person on YouTube or if you ate the best on YouTube out of anyone else who's eaten on YouTube.
Yeah, it's like, Cap, we didn't like it the couple times you ate on camera, but just so you know, you were better at it than other people.
Cap is the king of mukbang.
You didn't make a lot of noise. It wasn't super gross. It was just still a little hard to hear what you were talking about. We kind of wish you quit doing that, but you were pretty good at it. No, that's hilarious. I don't know what that means.
Please, everybody start recommending Cap to a mukbang video, because that would be hilarious.
And if you spelled "ain't" wrong and you meant "ain't," then agreed. Okay, so what was?
You ain't the worst either.
Go back for a second. What was the rest of
that? What's your favorite? He's just started watching Buffy recently.
A lot packed in there. My favorite season of Buffy is season 3 with the Faith stuff and the mayor. You never get better than that season. No, Dan, I'm not a cannibal. That would explain why I wrote my food novel. And then what was the second part of that? I thought there was another thing besides the Buffy thing.
He asked if After Dark was tonight.
Oh, yeah. I meant to mention that at the beginning of the show, so thanks for reminding us. But yeah, we decided to go ahead and put it off until next week for a number of reasons. So we'll be back next Thursday night for an After Dark. So look forward to that. I kind of wanted to stagger it and get it off the same week that we were doing Marvel Mania. Just because that's a lot of extra time out of my week when I'm trying to, especially when I'm working on a really big rewind project where like I have to watch a movie that we're gonna do on Marvel Mania because DJ set the precedent at the beginning of this round of Marvel Mania where he started watching the movies, and then I didn't want to come in with him more prepared than me, even though Mania was always just watch a thing even if you haven't seen it in a while. So now that's turned into more prepared commentaries. But it's been more fun doing that. The first round, more of those movies were things I'd seen a bunch of times, and I don't have the time to go back to things all the time. So several of these I've only seen once. So some of them I would have done that anyway, DJ. I'm just busting your chops.
Yeah, that's why I had to do it, because I've only seen these movies once in the theater, and it's like I didn't do that for Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I wish I would have, because I had nothing to say about that movie during that commentary.
Well, and I have to put myself in your shoes a little bit. You come at this from a different perspective because you've been on the channel with me for a long time now doing the co-host thing, but you're not in your mind really a reviewer. I mean, like you haven't done a lot of reviews, and you certainly after those movies didn't sit down and talk about them for an hour and a half on camera like I did. So even if I've only seen the movie one time, I have been forced to collect my thoughts before, and some of that might come back. You could sit down and watch a movie that you never talked to anybody about, kind of forgot real quick, didn't really feel the need to dissect in any way, even in your own brains. So yeah, I mean, putting myself in your shoes, I totally get why you'd have to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if it's a movie I didn't like. I didn't talk about it because I didn't have to review it. Fast. Yeah. So I've enjoyed going back to those. Most of them. Tom said he meant to say you are the best on YouTube. It was autocorrect. He's blaming autocorrect.
Oh, thanks, but I'm gonna. In my headcanon, you said 8, and it always will be 8. And I don't know who I want to thank the little people I ate to get to where I am today.
Oh man, how many little people?
No, Brandon. That is not what I meant. Okay, moving right along.
Dark. There's so many places we could go with that.
Let's see. So we're about.
I don't know what you were thinking, but I'm just like cannibal.
We're not as far.
People?
We're not as far into the show as I thought we were. Brandon, did you want to open a box?
Sure.
Brandon's got a box he wants to open. I don't know why he wants to do that, but that's fine.
Well, I thought it would be more fun, honestly. So I bought Loot Crate last year and then forgot about it. And then both of these have surprised me. So, and I have something kind of special here to open it with. I have a knife given me by my grandpa. It belonged to my great-great-grandpa. So that's fun.
Have you sharpened it?
No, it's. I mean, it's all. It's practically next to nothing now.
Just like the little thing that comes out of the fingernail clipper.
Yeah. All right, let's see what this thing is. A Loot Crate here.
Mutali basically just asked me if I'm fat because I ate people.
Oh, I'll eject him from the chat. Don't worry, I got this.
It's a Star Trek thing.
Oh, look, it's a Star Trek Loot Crate. He doesn't even know what themes he got.
I don't know what it is. Oh my goodness! How about this? Let's see. Okay, we got a T-shirt here, and
That's appropriate.
it has. Oh shoot! It's got a whole bunch of Enterprise D's on it.
It's nothing but Enterprise D's. That's very strange.
Is that like from?
I don't know why you would do that. Yeah, it's just a Galaxy class shirt. I don't know why you do that. Why wouldn't that be a bunch of different ships? No, it's just Galaxy class 150 times on a T-shirt.
That kind of reminds me of that scene from like All Good Things.
That is I mean, it's kind of cool looking, but it's sort of a dumb idea.
I have a Quarks coaster bar set. That's cool. Have to open that. Let's see. Enterprise 3D blueprint. Okay, from original series there.
But what is it?
It says Enterprise 3D blueprint.
I heard what you said. I'm just saying, but
what
is it?
I don't know. Like maybe it looks. I guess it looks like just the side view of the Enterprise. And then, what else is this? Let's see. We have a bridge computer display text sticker. Okay, I can make a bridge display, I guess. It's very small. And,
on your microwave.
what? I don't know what that is. You have any idea what that is?
Not right off, man. It's like a light of some kind, maybe. I don't know.
And then something's in this box here. It has Cisco on the front.
Maybe it's a spotlight that Cap can shine in the movie theater in the next Star Trek movie.
I think all I'm going to do is annoy people. Crinkling plastic. We'll get back to questions here in just a minute, folks.
It's a glass in a shot, for the person who doesn't drink here, it's a glass in a shot glass from Quarks Bar. Oh, that's pretty cool.
You got a full Quarks bar set.
I think this is for tea bags.
Brandon. Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because tea Earl Grey, right?
Well, you can drink your Earl Grey tea in your shot
there.
glass.
That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Now, in the shot glass.
Now, I wonder if... Can I see that for a second?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's the logo that they were using at Star Trek The Experience.
I wonder that, too.
No, it's dated 2021, though, so unless they just brought that back for some reason... yeah, weird. That's an interesting logo.
A tall shot glass, too.
That's great.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah, it looks like you got a bunch of kind of Quark stuff.
Yeah, for whatever reason. I'll have to look at that blueprint, too, here, though, but... this Galaxy class shirt is cracking me
ridiculous.
Up. That's pretty great. Okay, let me put this back
together.
If
you don't drink tea, can I have that? Because I would use that all the time.
Sure.
Thanks, man.
Does it have it has the Star Trek logo on it.
Yeah, it has the logo on the end of it. It's really cool. I mean, if you want it just to have it because it came out of your box, that's cool. I mean, if you decide you don't want that, I will totally take that.
All right.
Anyways, Hayden Spring, how did y'all feel about the Superman and Lois pilot? I'm the only person here that's seen it so far, and I have a review of it actually pending and ready to post, and it will go up overnight. I don't know if I want to say anything right away.
Keep him in suspense.
I don't know if I want to reveal any of my thoughts on that at all.
Just tell me if you think I'd like
surprise. You guys got to stay up and watch it tonight.
I don't even want to say that. Yeah.
Should I come watch it with you?
I don't even want to say that. I'm afraid if I say anything, yeah.
All right.
I'll tell you later, man.
Okay, that's cool.
But yeah, you'll have my thoughts probably an hour or two after this show. I'm gonna post it real quick.
Sweet. Anyway. There you go, guys. No After Dark, but an awesome review coming.
Well, it's a review.
Stuff.
I don't know. I don't know if it's awesome, but it's a spoiler cast. It is long. Originally, I was gonna. Austin came in and did it with me, and we were gonna talk about it for just 20, 30 minutes. And about halfway in, we decided to go ahead and do spoilers because we had some speculation and stuff about the ending. So we did talk about that quite a bit. But
Oh.
Jedi Knight, don't leave us in suspense. I think I'm gonna, though. It'll be there real quick. And if you don't want to watch the whole hour video, you could just jump like 4 or 5 minutes in and see the sign flips.
Tony Casero. I'm gonna read it how it is because it's funny.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, open it up and see what it is.
Yeah,
my lighting is not the best, but yeah, that's interesting.
Oh, it's a little model thing.
But it's half and half. It's a blueprint it's a 3D blueprint, like they said. I was like, what's a 3D blueprint? Okay.
Tony Casero, when's the next Ultimate Spicy review dropping?
Ultimate Spicy review, Ultimate Spider-Man review. I don't know yet. Usually, I've got 4 or 5 of those in the queue right now, and I have to take some time to get them edited. That takes a while. So I usually kind of like to see if there's a week where I need to take time off, and then I can get those edited ahead of time and just make it the thing for the week and post them all week. So that's why I haven't posted that yet. I kind of want to get maybe one more shot, and Eric has not been able to come over for a month. He's been so busy with work. So there's a new animated Batman movie that we were going to do the week it came out. It's been 5 weeks now. We still haven't talked about it yet because he's been working. So we have a ritual where we do all of those. Otherwise, I would have already reviewed it by now. But that's why you're still waiting on that, because I want to do that with Eric still. So he's hoping next week finally. But yeah, they've been short staffed at work, and he's been having to work real late, and he just has not had time to come over. So Hayden Spring, I'm on season 5 of Smallville. Should I be concerned? You should be deathly afraid.
There's something you could talk about.
In fact, are you past 100 yet? Have you gotten to the time travel shenanigans? I will say no more. But season 6 is weird, and then it all kind of goes downhill from there. Okay, what else?
Alrighty, Rue. Lewis Cox Cap, what is the meaning of life itself? LOL.
Ooh, I never liked that question. The meaning of life is to figure out your own meaning of life, man. I don't think there is one, and I think that's kind of the point. Self-improvement. Self-improvement is the meaning of life. That's why we're here. Leave it better than you found it.
Oh, look, Jean-Luc, nothing happened.
Wow. I did not expect that to be the question that you were the most succinct on. That was amazing. John Ty.
There you have it.
I have an opinion about that. Go ahead.
Have you heard of the rumor that AT&T might be selling DC to a book publisher?
Yeah, I have heard that rumor. I don't know how much I buy that, but that there's any chance of that. Although, considering all the layoffs and stuff, I guess I could sort of see them cutting their losses. I don't know how the rights work once you do that. Like if they sold that off, I guess a book publisher would have the publishing rights for all of those characters, but nothing else. There's pros and cons to that. If that were I guess my opinion on that is I don't know if that's a thing that they would ever do. But if you want me to talk about what if it happened, I can do that. I think the potential benefits for that is no longer having to worry whatsoever about symmetry, about synergy, about the two sides trying to talk together in an obnoxious way, where all the comic side is really for is a proving ground for stuff to happen later in movies, and to tell you like what to like create a tone across the board, and tell you what the movies are going to be doing. Also, Marvel has had that problem a lot, and DC to a lesser degree. But if either of those companies did that, I think you could see a lot more creative things happening. I think a book publisher would be smarter about price, would be more competitive than a parent company. I think a lot of good things could actually come out of that. I would be worried about certain rights issues. I don't know if you wonder if like the Siegel and Schuster families play ball with some other company, because like DC has the rights to still use Superman under is it just the Schuster family? I can't remember. But under a special like arrangement with them. I don't know if that changes if Warner's no longer owns it. So there's a lot of questions that I would have if something like that were to happen. Hayden Spring, I really hated the vampire episode. I don't know anybody that liked that episode. It was the worst. He's talking about season 5 Smallville, or season 4 Smallville is where that happens, I think. Or is no, that's the witch episode. They're both really terrible. Anyway, moving right along.
There's also a zombie episode in like season 10. David22, have you considered getting a Geekvolution band?
No, I have not.
That would be awesome if it could be played in by an actual band.
For for the live shows. We could treat it more like a talk show and be like,
Brandon, can you bring your violin over and just play us in?
Well, I could always do that.
I mean, he could. That'd be weird. Brandon, play me to my desk.
Well, you got to come in. You got to get behind the curtain. You got to get behind the curtain. I'll announce you, and then Brandon will play in.
Watale, Lana. Everybody's talking about Smallville now. Lana is in the show as a regular all the way through 7, and then in 8 she's recurring, but still in I think quite a few episodes. And I think 8 is where she gets written out pretty much for good, or that might even be middle of 9. I can't remember. The way she's written out is one of the most absurd, insane things I've ever seen in anything, and it's still not the dumbest thing in that show.
Join us later on to find out what the dumbest thing is.
Some of these people are watching that show for the first time, so I'm not going to spoil it right now, but...
TH1, $2 super chat. Thoughts on Hasbro's decision about Potato Head?
No, I don't know what we're talking about. What happened with Potato Head?
Yeah.
I looked it up while you were talking because I figured none of us would know what he was talking about.
Thanks, buddy.
They dropped the Mr. from the logo. It just says Potato Head now, but it seems like people are freaking out for no reason because they made a statement clarifying that the characters of Mr. Potato Head and Mrs. Potato Head aren't going anywhere. They're still going to be around. Just the branding is going to say Potato Head moving forward. Just like
this is the branding.
Well,
yeah, this is fine.
So were people immediately jumping the gun, thinking that it was like a gender politics issue? Is that what people were thinking? Where it's like, oh, we can't have Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. That's too.
Yeah, I think on both sides. I think the people that are excited about that stuff are excited about it, and the people that weren't excited. But I think it's totally neutral. I don't even think they were.
But don't they put out like buckets with both parts for both? Like it would make sense to have a thing to have, like. I don't really care, honestly, either way, I guess. But like, I guess, except I get why people get kind of set in their ways, and it's like history, and it's like it's been the same thing for a million years, and then suddenly change it for no reason. Like I get why somebody would be kind of irritated about that. But I could see changing the branding where it's like, well, we have like all these different Potato Heads, and you could buy a bucket that's got Mr. and Mrs. and we just call that Potato Head, and then you can make it Mr. or Mrs. or whatever the heck you want it to be.
Yeah, I mean, they got Darth Tater and all those spin-offs, and so it just makes sense to me.
Right, but the logo's always been Mr. Potato Head.
Right, no, I get that, but like, I mean, it sounds like a fine rebrand to me, honestly. If you still have the classic Mr. Potato Head made by Potato Head, okay.
What bothers me more is things that are changed where the context, like not having the context of the history of it, makes the new name make no sense. So this is not a Pib Extra situation where we took the Mr. off of Pib, but then we put Extra there. So like most... like I don't know, if you're in your 20s, you probably grew up never seeing Mr. Pibb, and you probably wondered what was even extra about the one kind they had. That kind of thing is dumb. So if it was Potato Head Extra, I would cry foul, but it's not. So it's fine.
Potato Head Extra. Now I'm mad it's not Potato Head Extra.
I don't know. I might be ranting about something that's 10 years done. Go ahead, DJ.
What I like the most is that the literal company tweeted this in response. While it was announced today that the Potato Head brand name and logo are dropping the Mr., I am proud to confirm that Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head aren't going anywhere and will remain Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, the company tweeted. So amazing. Not only did they shut it down quickly, but they put a great pun in there.
That is a great pun.
I'm glad to know that their marketing has not changed in 100 years. Like, that's really funny. Okay, well, what else is going on?
T-Edge 1, thoughts just read yours. Sorry. Thanos Survivor number 21, inspired.
I want that.
by
You know
your
what? That's my least favorite question. Thoughts? Question mark.
thoughts.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
That's the best question. Just whatever you're thinking about, man.
Oh,
What's
okay.
on your
All
mind?
right. Actually, you're right. That's all right. Sure.
I think we should start a whole segment at the end just called Thoughts. And then
Thoughts.
Cap just goes
This
off.
is
And
the thing that suddenly comes to you. Oh man, that's put me on the spot more than anything. All right.
Thanos,
That's where you want to you want to try not to have the faux pas of just look around the room and find an object that inspires you.
We spend 3 minutes where we just each one of us says a thought just back and forth.
It's not a bad idea. That actually sounds like kind of a fun thing to close with. Because, yeah, let's find a way to make this longer. Go ahead, DJ.
Well, I'm at the last super chat, so we can do some pre-writtens here. Thanos Survivor number 21, inspired by your social network video. If Aaron Sorkin did write a superhero movie, who would you want it to be?
First thing that comes to mind is Daredevil. Just because he's really good at political thrillers and legal dramas, so it could be like the Netflix Daredevil show where it can be really talky, but you focus even more on the courtroom drama stuff than he did. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. Can you think of anything that's good?
That's the same character that came to my mind. I think that's the perfect choice, right? I don't know. I'm sure there's other things he could do, but that just seems like a Daredevil.
The definitive answer, yeah. I mean, I'm sure he could do a good police drama and stuff like that, but that tends to have a lot more action in it. You want something that, pardon me, you want something where it's easier to put a lot of people in a closed room or behind desks and things. So I guess the real answer is the Foggy Nelson solo piece. I think is what you want from Sorkin.
It's called
Foggy. Although,
I would like a movie called Nelson and Murdoch. That would be cool.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, I was going to say a Daredevil thing where you hardly had him in costume and it was more about the legal side. Call it Nelson and Murdoch. That'd be a great name for an ongoing drama. It's the West Wing in Hell's Kitchen. That's what it is.
John killed DJ over there.
Woo! Sorry.
To take over for a minute.
John Kelling. $5. Mr. Pibb becoming Pibb Extra is the most irrational anger I've ever felt. Been 20 years and it still grinds my gears.
I'm glad I'm not the only one, man. That's even worse than Vince's a giant cupcake is just a cake.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it makes no sense as a soda, right? Like, Mr. Pibb was kind of like coming on the heels of Dr. Pepper. Like, it makes sense. Like, what is Pibb Extra?
It's just Pibb. If you want to just take the Mr. off and call it Pibb, fine. It seems more generic, and I don't know what Pibb means, but knock yourself out. But because I think when the extra thing started, there were two kinds, and you could get one with more caffeine. If they retired Mr. Pibb at the same time as they put Pibb Extra out, that makes it even stupider. But after a while, all you could get was the one kind.
Do you remember?
Yeah, well, and if it should have been like the new recipe, which I think it was what it was, it should have been a limited thing, and then it should have went back to Mr. Pibb when they stopped.
Or go the other way, if you wanted to phase the old recipe out, or formula, I guess is the way you put it with soda. If you wanted to phase the old formula out, you say Pibb Extra for a while, and then you just somehow make it clear to your buyers when Mr. Pibb becomes the new formula, and you still call it Mr. Pibb, but now it's what Pibb Extra was. You do that.
Yeah.
Do you remember the old Mr. Pibb commercials with the disembodied, floating head, drawn head thing that would drink the Pibb?
Yes, I do know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I haven't thought of those in years.
And that was on their bottles for a while. I think they tried to make that, I think, wasn't it? I think they tried to make that their mascot, kind of like Cool Spot, and it didn't catch on like Cool Spot did.
Cool Spot was just too cool.
Cinematographic says Arlene Sorkin could do a Daily Planet thing. That's true too. And there was talk for a while that I just remembered this. Did you remember this, DJ, a few years ago? That the creators of Gotham almost did a Metropolis show that would have been like an investigative reporter centered show, and then that ended up falling through and didn't happen.
I think so. I think I remember that. And then you would always complain about how you wanted how that should have just been like the last 4 seasons of Smallville should have been called Metropolis.
Yeah. But yeah, it would have been so weird if suddenly we had a thing called Metropolis that wasn't that. But Superman and Lois, again, without talking about my feelings about that yet, is already interesting because I just thought of this. I didn't talk about this in the video, which is why I'm going to mention it now. But I don't know if this was just a happy accident or if this might have had something to do with the reason that show is set at least partially in Smallville. This is Smallville's 20th anniversary, and the new Superman show, a lot of it is set in Smallville, and I want, for various reasons, I'm not digging on the title. I talk about that in the video, and I want to forever refer to that show as Smallville 2, and I'm going to try to make that catch on. I think that new show is Smallville 2, and I'm gonna see if I can get that to catch on.
Has there ever been a show called 2? How has that never happened?
Earth 2 was a show, but I don't think there's anything that was necessarily a sequel.
Like a
to
sequel,
something.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. That reminds me of something kind of amusing. Can I tell you an off the beaten path has nothing to do with anything?
I would love it. Thoughts?
Okay, so I can save it for the end. I will save this for the end because we'll do a thought. I love this idea. We'll do a thought
Don't
segment.
forget it.
I'm gonna write it down, and then we'll.
I still can't talk.
We'll talk about it at the end. Okay, you guys feel free to have a quick. Now, if we all do thoughts, it can't be like, 15-minute discussions. They have to be rants, and nobody else talks. Okay, DJ, or not even necessarily rants, but just.
Yeah, I don't even know if I have a rant.
Hopefully something but not rants, more like inspirational. No, mine is a rant. Mine is absolutely a rant. Okay, DJ,
rants can be quite inspirational.
What else you got? I'm still stepping on this microphone cord.
Speaking of Smallville, Dark Moonlight Entertainment wants to know, $1 million question, do you think Smallville is a good or a bad show?
Yes!
Moving on.
That will forever be my answer. I have a massive love-hate relationship with that show. I can quickly, for people that haven't heard me talk about this a bazillion times, and once again, by the way, I'm still trying to figure out a way to bring Counting Crypto Freaks back in some form, or to do season overviews of that show at the very least. I'm thinking about all of those things this year. I want to get something going on it again, this being the anniversary, and it being 20 years makes me feel very, very old.
I can't believe it's been 20 years since that show came on the air.
Absolutely nuts. We have had a Supergirl series and started a new Superman show since then. It's absolutely baffling that it's been that long. But anyway, I'll talk about this just really briefly. I think it was always a mixed bag, and I think it turned into a bad show. And I think the place where I can say it's definitively straight up bad is definitely by the middle of 8. But there are pockets in it where I'm finding it nearly unwatchable. Some of 6 is that way, but 6 is very much a mixed bag. Some of 7 is that way, but 7 is very much a mixed bag. By the time you get 9 and 10, it's later Arrow, or I can't say worse. I can't say worse. But so the answer is yes. But it depends on what part of the show you're looking at.
Snuffles writes favorite bad movie.
Oh man, this is another one that always just my mind breaks down. Jurassic House is still up there. Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. That's always my go-to. I always bring up The Return of Captain Invincible, but the more I've seen that film, the more I have a hard time calling it a bad movie. Even though, I mean, it kind of is, but, I love it. But, yeah, do you guys have a go-to for favorite bad movies?
Favorite bad movie? Not really, honestly. I mean, I like things for why I like them. Like, there's probably one out there that I'm not thinking of, but, like, by the time I really thought of what bad movies were in, like, a critical sense, it really wasn't an issue.
DJ, do you have a go-to?
I don't. I usually like things pretty genuinely. I don't usually have so bad it's good kind of things that I go to a lot.
Boy, you could not be more of Austin's opposite. He could do an entire hour show on this.
He could, yeah. He loves that kind of stuff. They go to that stuff all the time in the Discord viewing parties.
Oh, that was terrible.
Oh, I do have a go-to though. It's Thanksgiving, and I know I've mentioned that a lot, but that is my go-to.
Oh, good. I'm glad you thought of something. John Kelly, back again, $2. Who would win in a fight, Gotham or Smallville? That may be comment on the stream, sir. You may have won.
Comment of the stream. We need to get streamers for comment of the stream.
Oh, that's hilarious.
yeah,
That's good.
Oh my god, I love it. Yeah, and you know what? We wrote one down for last time and we forgot to put it up. I apologize for that. We're gonna start finally actually doing this. Yeah, DJ, write that down and then make sure that I get it after the show, would you? You could even just send it to me right now, or I could write it down, or whatever. How do you want to do this?
I've got Messenger pulled up right on my computer. I can
We
just...
need...
Bing, bow. You got it. There it is.
Thanks, buddy.
Except
Okay.
it's John Kelling. It didn't... It says
Who
on
would
Kelling.
win in a fight between Smallville and Gotham? Comment of the stream, sir. So you will see your comment of this stream through all of the next stream. And by stream, I mean Captain Logan show, so not like Marvel Manias and things like that. But next Tuesday, we'll have a Captain Logan show, and it'll be at the bottom of the stream. Unless I forget to do it, in which case you can yell at me in the comments, and then I'll do it real quick while we're doing the show.
Now see, he springboarded off of other people, other comments from this evening, so he had a leg up because that was a callback. So maybe we should include. No, that's fine.
That is
If you get it,
true.
you get it.
And that is a strategy that a person could use. It may not work every time, you know.
That's
For
true.
instance, now that it's worked once, don't expect it to work again.
Yeah. Some people could just get cute and try that real hard. Then I'm like, I see what you're doing. You're just fishing for comment of the stream.
You just mashed two other comments together and made a comment.
You're fishing for comments in the stream.
So winning as far as which is the better show has always been difficult. I've answered this on camera. I don't remember what I said last time. So I think I overall probably end up giving it to Smallville. But I had a whole thing about how it's almost unfair to compare them because one was on for 10 years. One was on for at least 5 years longer than it should have been. And the other one overstayed its welcome also, but was only on for 5 years. And one of them had an identity that was a little clearer from the beginning, and that was Smallville. And the other one was constantly like reinventing itself, but also not really. One is more of a quagmire. One I sort of understand to some degree how it got the way it did, and the other one I'm baffled by. That one would be Gotham. As far as wins in a fight, like the two things fight each other, it's Gotham. Easy, no problem, because it's really violent.
Ruthless.
In one of the first episodes, Penguin kills a man for a sandwich. It is definitely the more violent of the two.
Oh man. You know, I thought of that, but then I also thought of like the actual physical town of Smallville fighting.
I had that too.
Actual
But then
physical Gotham.
that's unfair because one of these is a big city and the other one is a tiny town of 45,000 people. Can we just move on?
We can. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna read this. Divid22, $2. How the Indian caves and Scottish castle in Kansas?
Well, the Scottish castle we understand because it was shipped over by Lionel Luther brick by brick. It's ridiculous, but that's what he did.
Shipped a castle.
Yep, he sure did, and it looks exactly like the X Mansion because they used the same exteriors, and it also looks exactly like the Queen Mansion because it used the same exteriors. And Arrow was ridiculous, by the way, for using that same exterior the year after Smallville ended. Why would you do that? But then, as far as the Indian cave thing goes, the Kawachiti Caves, that was supposed to be. And everybody's just making me go through my Smallville history. That is supposed to be a local Native American tribe that lived in the area around Smallville that were visited by Kryptonians like a century or more before, and they used a cave that the Kawachis had found in order to kind of set up a home base for any time they came back, and that's why that's there. Yep. Oh yes, Dan. He shipped the castle.
People do that.
Anyway.
It's amazing. We're done with Super Chats. I'm going to go to this one because I thought it was really cool. Pre-written from Tony Casero. What TNG
I'm sorry,
episode?
I gotta read this real quick because that's
Sure.
a great deep pull. Busted Sim said Luther pulled a Xanatos. Yes, he did. Xanatos is the guy is the bad guy in Gargoyles, who also ships over a castle to New York City. They're in New York because there's the gargoyle named Brooklyn. They're in New York, and they have a castle that he just sandwiches right in the middle of the city, and it's fantastic. And he is voiced by Jonathan Frakes, and he has a evil gargoyle lady person who works for him, who is voiced by Marina Sirtis. Anyway, moving right along.
I haven't seen that show in forever.
It's on Disney Plus now, and the transfers are gorgeous.
Really?
Yep.
Oh. Might have to check that out.
Tony Casero,
Hello.
what TNG episode would work best if you could only hear the audio like a radio drama?
Ooh, I love this question.
Right? Pretty
that's
good.
a great question. And it's funny you say that because a lot of veteran older TOS fans will talk about how when they were kids, the only way that they could like really good at Star Trek trivia and experience the episodes over and over again was to take a tape player and record the audio from the TV, and then they would get headphones and walk around and listen to the episodes over and over again. So they would have listened to them more often than they saw them. This is a thing that that Altman talks about a lot in his podcast on Star Trek. So it's funny that you brought that up, because that's a thing I thought was really interesting. He talked about that he and a couple of the older panelists on their podcast did when they were kids in the 70s. But anyway, the first thing that comes to my mind, did you get the question?
What was
TNG episode that would work wholesale as a radio play
as a radio
without seeing what you're looking at. The first thing that comes to my mind is Drumhead. Because it's very talky, and it's a courtroom drama, and it has very little action, and it's very speechy.
Well, if that's what you're going to go with, potentially, like, on the similar note, maybe Measure of a Man.
Yeah, that would be another one.
That'd be another go-to.
Yep. So the courtroom dramas.
Yeah.
Wow, what a cool question. There's a DJ. We're not gonna do this, but there's a part of me that almost wants to like break up comment of the stream and also have like question of the stream. That is my favorite question of the stream. That was really good. All right, moving right along.
Cool.
Bye, John. Thanks for being here, man.
Daniel Davis, most convincing supervillain argument you can think of. I actually think that Ra's al Ghul has a point to his madness about mankind. He just goes about it in a very wrong way.
Yeah, of course. That would have been my go-to. Magneto is probably second. This is another one that comes up quite a bit. But yeah, Ra's and Magneto are usually my go-tos. There's other stuff. I'd have to sit here and rack my brain for a while, but...
How about the Terror?
What's the Terror's argument? I'm elderly and I
want
want
to see
money?
the world burn.
Like... Oh, well, if you mean like live-action Tick, he's a little bit more interesting, yeah.
Well, yeah, I was referring to the live-action.
What else are you seeing, DJ?
I see.
I spy with my little eye.
Mutale. Cap, do you want the DCEU to do the opposite of Marvel and recast actors?
That's a really complicated question. If we didn't already have a DCEU...
Most complicated question of the stream.
Just start making new categories.
That continuity, and I have to say that in air quotes at this point, is so convoluted I can't answer that right now. Because what I think they should do at this point is straight on reboot completely. It looks like they're sort of going to try to do that in continuity, maybe with Flash, doing the Flashpoint thing, whatever that ends up looking like. But if you'd asked me this before Man of Steel came out, or even after Man of Steel came out, really, but before we got to BVS and the convoluted nonsense where every movie, it feels like we're kind of starting over in a way, and we're just waiting for some kind of semblance of order to happen, and I would have said definitely recast. I would have said like keep it all out of time, have these characters very very gradually age or very slowly age if they age at all, and yeah, I mean that would have been the perfect place to not do the Marvel thing. It makes a lot of sense to recast with Marvel and make that more of a world where it's going in real time with ours. DC looked like it was kind of out of time, or at least not. I don't know. It's weird. Like Man of Steel was more stylized in the Marvel movies, but it definitely looked like the world we live in to some degree. And then BVS tried to get more stylized, but then also put like every talking head you've ever heard of from the news in the movie, like cementing the time period. Not to mention the fact that they tell you what year the Waynes died. So yeah, like if they could have if we could have had something that looked closer to like Batman 89 or something, where it's very much out of time, or it's like an amalgamation of different time periods, then I would have said absolutely. Keep recasting. Don't feel like when an actor gets too old, you have to kill them off or write them out some way. Or doesn't want to do it anymore. It's not fair to say that Chris Evans got too old. He could have played that role for another 10 years probably if he really wanted to. Tony Stark might have been harder. But even that, I think he could have played it another 10 years if he really wanted to. Most of his action is in a metal suit after all.
And I would buy an older Iron Man.
Yeah, more so than the people who actually have to do the stuff without a metal suit. John Kelly, $5, asked this earlier before the stream. Has Poison Ivy ever teamed up with Ra's al Ghul, both being eco-terrorists? How well do you think that would go?
That's interesting. I've never thought of that before. Not to my knowledge, but it's not like I know everything. I always assume that everything has happened at some point, and then I was Marvel when somebody finally does something. Then I'm like, oh yeah, there's probably 5 of those, and I find out at the first time. You're right; they are both eco-terrorists, but that's kind of where the similarities end, because one of them is interested in civilization and the other one isn't. So I can't. I would struggle to find the story where I would buy them working together for any amount of time where the double cross doesn't happen 10 minutes into that story, but it would be really cool if you could come up with it, where it's like, where both of them have the same goal aligned for a period of time, and then they have to diverge, but they would have to diverge at some point, because Poison Ivy wants plants to rule, but traditionally Poison Ivy's not interested in human beings. She's all about the chlorophyll life forms. So but then when you go to Ra's al Ghul, he's about civilization and order and what he perceives as real justice versus the corruption that all of society eventually falls into, and the idea that every now and again you just have to burn everything to the ground and start over. Poison Ivy wouldn't be interested in any of that. She would want to permanently burn everything to the ground so that plants could take over forever, and so that people could, like, he's an eco-terrorist, but he also doesn't care. I guess he kind of cares about the environment, but not to the degree that Poison Ivy does. It's different.
Well, then what if that story read like she teams up with him, but is really not on his team, and she just wants to get to that part, but then she just overdoes it so much.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't know how that would last for any more than 10 minutes. Ra's al Ghul is not an idiot, and he would know what she's about, and he'd be keeping tabs on people in Gotham, and he would know what Poison Ivy was about. So he'd be like, well, I know. What I'm saying is their motivations don't line up in the first place. So he would go, okay, Poison Ivy, you don't like people. At some point, you're probably going to kill me along with everyone else. So, and that's not always Poison Ivy. There's various degrees of that, but yeah, I'm not saying you couldn't.
No fool.
I'm not saying you couldn't come up with a story. I just don't know what that looks like.
Yeah, I think you could tell a cool story with her, not like an origin, kind of an origin for her, where she teams up with him, and then as they're doing it, she realizes that humans are the problem, and she wants to get rid of them completely. So it's not like she's trying to hide anything from him. Like, she comes to that. Anyway, Dagon Spear might have to do a trailer reaction. Dagon Spear wants to know if you've seen the MODOK trailer yet.
I didn't know that had dropped yet. I haven't. I will make a note and look at that for Tuesday.
Yeah, I just looked it up. It's like it came out today, 2 hours ago. Hulu original series.
Yeah, I knew Hulu was doing an animated MODOK. I just didn't know that there was already a trailer. So I'm making a note right now. But yeah, especially if that just came out 2 hours ago, I don't want to do a trailer reaction right now because we tend to get flagged for those if we show them, and otherwise we have to all look at them together, and people haven't had time to look at that yet. So I would rather do it Tuesday and talk more in depth about it if there's anything in depth to talk about. I want to be excited about that. MODOK's fun. That could be the most irritating thing in the universe. Weirdly, I would love to see Marvel. Nobody else is going to have this. I would love to see Marvel Angela show up in that show, just because one of my favorite MODOK stories now is a Secret Wars thing they did where MODOK and Angela, or MODOK falls in love with Marvel Angela, and she's not interested in him at all, and that's just the weirdest pairing ever. It's so very strange. Yeah, I want that to happen at some point. Connor, hi Connor. Is there a reason you're growing your hair out? I don't need a reason for things.
You dare question the captain?
It's a couple fold. I've always been curious to see what it would look like longer, at Lionel Luthor length, and this is the longest it's ever been. I promise I won't talk about my hair too long. a few years ago grew it out some kind of maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches shorter than it is right now, and I wore it partly kind of in front of my face. It looked terrible. You can see the old videos. It was really bad. This time I decided to just keep my hair the way it was, keep holding it back and see what it would look like as it grew. I've been on the fence about whether or not I should go ahead and cut it. It is getting pretty crazy long now, but I'm still curious to see what it would look like if it got to shoulder length. And also, I just have felt weird about going to barbershops and stuff. And full disclosure, I hate barbershops like with a burning passion, or at least like I want to find one that's like a mom and pop like. There's a shop that's run by one guy and who like I really trust, I really like. I don't have that anymore. I had that growing up, and I don't anymore. And all of the like chain ones I hate. They're awful. They're always really impersonal, and I don't like them. You
remember you did find one, but it's not anywhere near here.
Right.
On the comic book documentary. That was a pretty cool shop.
I need to get a haircut too. My hair is getting really long. I love getting my hair cut. I've never been to a barber shop though. I don't think I've ever had a man cut my hair.
Oh, interesting.
Where am I going with this?
Salons and barber shops.
Best. This is from Thanos Survivor number 21. Best and worst Smallville episode.
Man, So I haven't been paying close enough attention to all the people who have asked Smallville questions. Has it been the same like couple people, or has it all been different people? Because this is an interesting litmus test tonight for like it's sounding like there's definitely enough interest in trying to make something happen with that show again.
Yeah,
it's
John Kelling.
How much Smallville's coming up tonight.
John Kelling and then Thanos Survivor are interested. I think the other one might have even been a third person.
My favorite episode of that show is still probably the season. What is it? 3 or 2? Episode with Perry White with Michael McKean. It's wonderful. And one of the episodes that I've gone back to the most. And least favorite is the finale. It really is. It's the worst.
It is the worst. I can vouch for that. I have seen it. I sat through the entire show for that. And that's what we got.
Did you really? Did you actually finish it?
I finished.
Can you believe what we did to Lex at the end? We brought Rosenbaum back one more time. Can you believe that nonsense? Like, oh.
That whole episode is unbelievable.
Just unbelievable. The harpoon out of my chest. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Daniel Davis, favorite music to put on the background when you're typing? I often listen to instrumental scores.
That's cool that you asked me that. It's a thing I used to do all the time when I was younger, and I don't know if just getting older I'm more easily distracted or it's harder to stay focused on one thing. I don't listen to music when I write anymore. Hardly at all. I used to. Sometimes if I'm really... I know, it's weird. Sometimes if I'm really in a zone... you know what? I don't tend to put like TV on in the background when I'm doing things either. Like I focus on one thing at a time now.
I love having a TV on just in the background.
I think some of that, I don't know. My attention is too divided. I think some of that is years ago I heard the factoid, and this is true. The more I looked into it, that the human brain doesn't actually really know how to successfully multitask.
I have also heard that.
That's just not a thing. I mean, I think we've all heard that, but I'm just saying that, like, when people finally started saying that all the time, I was like, oh, maybe I should quit doing that. So I kind of did, and so I think some of it I've gotten used to that, some of it I've just gotten older. But I was still using to listen to music for a long time. I used to listen to different things depending on what I was working on. So if I was working on something kind of quirky, I always had a mix of They Might Be Giants. And other things I would listen to, jazz or classical. If I turn on anything anymore, it tends to be Chopin. That's about it. Like I don't put a lot of music on the background anymore. Very rarely. I feel like a very different person than I was even 10 years ago.
Who are you? I don't even know who you are anymore.
I don't know, man. Cap. I have changed.
I prefer the old 2010 Cap.
Yeah, that's fair. But you know, there's pros and cons to everything. Like I'm less of a prude about violence and swearing than I used to be.
That's very true.
So there's that.
That depends on who you're talking to, if that's a pro or a con.
I'm more of an animal person. I like to cook now, which I always used to hate. I like I'm painting minifigs. I never used to paint. I don't know. There's all these things that are different about me now. I like being I don't have to go places all the time like I used to. I mean, some of that has to do with the lockdown and whatever. You get used to it, but
who am I kidding? This new cap is friends with the guy named DJ, goofy guy named DJ. So I mean, yeah,
you could have something to do with this.
I think Eric has a lot more to do with who you are than I do.
Oh, good call.
Stephen Murphy says I used to be cool. Joke's on you. You're still watching.
TH1.
I used to be slimmer, that's for sure. All right, go ahead.
As some of you like to point out in
Mutali
the chat.
Earlier, yeah, pointed out. Thanks, buddy. All right, what's up?
You'll never get comment of the stream with the insult to Cap. So let's keep those to a minimum.
Oh, it depends on the insult.
Yeah, you don't know that for sure.
Yeah, man.
T-Edge.
I think I'm less uptight about that sort of thing now too. I'm not gonna say overall I'm less uptight. I still think of myself as a somewhat uptight person, but I'm more self-deprecating than I ever used to be. Okay, go ahead, Brandon.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Huh?
Go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead, DJ.
We're like his children
here. It doesn't work. Go ahead, DJ. Come on, Brandon, read a question. Make up a question. Hey, Brandon, on the spot. Make up any question. Go.
Make up any question. What would you like to see if you got your wish in a new Star Trek show?
Ooh, and also single tier. I still say anthology is the way to go.
Yeah. I
still say jump around. But if it was something and it was, because I want to see serialized Star Trek done well. Because that was the one thing they did that I thought was the way to go for a new thing. Yeah, go back and finally do. I mean, I don't know how connected I would want it to be to Enterprise, but however you decided to do it, go back and do the big mini-series epic for Romulan War in the 22nd century. It's just very strange that that's never been dramatized. So that would be the thing that I would want.
Cool.
And there was a huge like a trilogy of movies that almost happened that would have done that. And that was the thing that was nearly in the works. Like almost pre-production happened on that.
Really?
That I've heard a lot about right before Abrams ended up with it, and the whole trajectory would have been completely different if that had happened. And it was a matter of an executive quitting or getting fired or something, and then the new guy who came on shut down all the projects that guy was working. That's what always happens. Somebody leaves, the new guy comes in, and then everything gets shut down, and they start from scratch. Yeah, that's what always happens.
Brandon wins. Question of the stream, says John Kelly.
No, I
thought we already had that.
I appreciated that question, but it still doesn't beat who would win in a fight between. I guess that was common too. What was question of the stream was also a Star Trek question, wasn't it? It was the TNG radio show.
Oh yes.
Thing. I would
we're gonna need
that question of the stream.
We're gonna need to do like the Golden Globes, where we have like best comment of the stream, comedy or musical, and then comedy, and then like an actual serious comment of the stream.
Well, to paraphrase Alfred from the end of Batman and Robin, we're gonna need a bigger screen. Get it all in there. Okay, go ahead.
That is true. We could probably get rid of that super chat thing that we don't look at. David 20. No. TH1. Sorry. Counting Crypto Freaks is what introduced me to the channel. I fully support the idea of you doing something for the 20th anniversary.
Well, thanks for being patient about that, and the fact that I have not been making that for a long time. And I mean, like, I officially canceled the series, and in a place now where I'm like, I don't like that I'm not doing that. It still feels very weird. So yeah, something this year, and I just have not landed on it quite yet. I needed to get rewind back to the flagship show, which I've been working on real hard and has so far been working out, and I gotta get past the Snyder madness.
The Snyder madness.
You don't even know.
I've seen some things.
Leave it now.
I've seen the pictures of Jared Leto's Joker coming.
No, I mean, you don't know what
someone asked about that
last month, buddy.
Oh.
I'm at 38,000 words on that rewind.
Oh, that's right. You've been talking to me about that. Yeah, no kidding.
Someone asked about that, Cap. Have you seen the Crown of Thorns Goofy photo?
I have, yeah. None of that surprises me. None of that shocks me. You know what the dumbest thing about it is? Regardless of, like, the ridiculous, pointless imagery, I haven't seen it in context. I'm gonna go out on a limb. Say that's gonna end up being kind of pointless. We'll see. Obviously, he only shot 5 minutes of new footage.
He's not in it at all.
Showing us stills from totally different scenes with this character, with this actor that you shot with for 5 minutes. What are you doing? Stop it.
I hope it's just like in one of the wreckage scenes where like the city's being blown up. He's just running down the street in that like robe and thorns. Look, it's Joker.
I would bet you $500 that is in slow motion. But if you're gonna do something that just like obviously perverse and provocative or whatever, and just like really clear obvious imagery, like, and you've already done all that Jesus imagery with Superman, and now you're like, it would be really cool and badass. What if we do with Joker?
The Antichrist.
You're gonna do all of that. You're gonna do that kind of thing, and you're not gonna surprise us with it. You're not gonna at least let me in the moment scream at the screen. I gotta know about it already. Like,
scream at the screen. That's a fun one.
DJ, we are almost at 2 hours. Can you throw one more at me, maybe? I don't know if we've got more super chats or not.
Well, I have one more super chat, and then I'll try to find a good one while you're answering this. David22, when writing, do you ever turn on the Smallville song?
I'm sorry.
That's a question.
I missed all that. Would you say that again?
David22, when you're writing, do you ever turn on the Smallville song?
No, I never think to do that.
Not when you get writer's block. You don't start singing that.
Yeah, that wouldn't be super inspiring, right? You just got somebody screaming, "Somebody save me!" I know exactly what this guy's motivation should be. Now I understand. The closest thing to that I ever did, I've maybe mentioned this on camera before. Back when I used to do a lot of like comic industry interviews, to calm my nerves right before I talk to somebody, because I'd get a little bit nervous sometimes, but depending on who I was about to talk to. And there's a TMBG song that I love called "It's Not My Birthday," and I would play that song right before I got on a call with somebody. But that's the closest to like playing a song to motivate myself to do a thing that I've ever come.
Jedi
I'm an open book, you guys.
Jedi Knight has been asking this several times throughout the stream, and it was the first comment of the stream, not the best comment of the stream. Maybe, I don't know, but it was also the first comment.
Is that
of the stream,
also an award? Did you get an award just for being the first person who asked a question?
We
can't award somebody for going first.
I said, "What's up, guys?" And he went, "Bam!" And he hit me with this question. He had it already locked and loaded. Jedi Knight, what if Batman raised the TMNT instead of Splinter?
They'd just be a bunch of turtle robins, right? Like.
All right, good. We got it. That's the show, guys.
Turtle robins.
They'd just be turtle robins. Yeah.
Just end with that. Turtle robins.
I don't know. I think there's a chance that the turtles would grow up accidentally being more interchangeable, where they wouldn't have as different of personalities, because Batman would be more strict in the way he raises them, and he probably wouldn't let them have as much of their own free time just watching TV and messing around, playing video games and that sort of thing. He'd raise them more like Damian Wayne. Yeah, that's interesting. It'd be cool to see an Elseworlds sort of thing where that is a thought I've never ever had. That's interesting.
Good question.
They'd be more like Batman. I would not think that they would be as much fun. Certainly, that actually, ironically, probably be closer. Well, not even ironically, but they'd be closer to what they are in the first Mirage book, probably.
Well, it's interesting though, because Splinter is not. They seem to be super goofy and having fun despite Splinter.
I think Batman would hold them on a tighter leash than Splinter would.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree with that statement. Very much so.
I just mean typical Batman versus typical Splinter. I think he would hold them on a tighter leash. I think he would be better at making sure they didn't go anywhere. Like, Splinter doesn't keep a tight rein. He's not that careful about keeping control over his kids. I think Batman, to a fault, would. I think he'd be a lot more protective and isolationist, and I think they would grow up in a cave and they'd never go anywhere. That's what I think would happen.
Solar Dragon says, "What if Bruce Wayne fell down a sewer grate after his parents were shot and got raised by Splinter?" Well, there'd be no Turtle Robins,
Who
which
would
would
win
be
in a
very
fight?
disappointing.
No Turtle Robins.
That's just my favorite thing to come out of this whole episode is Turtle Robins. I don't know why. It's just a funny phrase.
Turtle Robins. You'd have a
you're
bat
so-
turtle.
He was so matter of fact about well, Turtle Robins. Of course.
Obviously. Yeah,
What
that's
what
fair.
else would they be?
I have a hard time getting outside of my own self sometimes. It's like this is just the world I live in. I'm thinking about this kind of stuff so much all the time that is just not a weird thing to say to me. Turtle Robins.
It's gonna be my go-to when someone asks me a dumb question that I don't want to answer. Well, Turtle Robins, of course.
People with regular jobs. Somebody works at Taco Bell there all day. They're like, this is where to go for Turtle Robins.
Wow. Oh, what a great ending. I'm glad I asked that one. Thank you, Jedi Knight.
Dagan Spear, don't pin Damian Wayne on Bruce Cap. I don't think he'd raise him for most of his life. No, that's true, and I get that. I'm just saying that he was raised in a more disciplined environment, and I would think that anybody that Batman actually raised from birth would be closer to that. Although I say that, I mean, like, Bruce Wayne raised Dick Grayson from a particular age, and he is pretty lighthearted and has a lighter personality. I guess it just depends on the Batman we're talking about. I don't know why. I guess when I'm mixing the gritty world of Ninja Turtles with the gritty world of Batman, I'm thinking of something a lot closer to a Miller Batman. I don't know why. So yeah, I mean, if you had like animated series Batman raised the Ninja Turtles, I guess they'd be more or less the same. But I still say probably raised a little bit stricter than Splinter, or than Splinter would have raised them, and also Turtle Robins. Okay, what else? What else we got?
Super chat just came in from Lewis Cox. Cap, what if Daredevil raised the TMNT?
I totally looked at that inside Deadpool.
Well, that's the next.
That's
question.
why I put it on the thumbnail a few weeks back. It was amazing.
Man, okay, we got to get away from this whole thing and do our final thoughts here in a second. But thanks for the super chat, Lewis. Yeah, what if Daredevil raised the Ninja? I can't imagine Daredevil raising children just in general. Like, I would assume he would screw that up. Would Daredevil be? I don't know. I got to think about that for a second. Like now I'm just wondering what Daredevil raising kids is like, just in general. And I'm thinking he could sort of be like absentee parent to a degree. Like I could see him, just not having time for his kids and making the mistake of not being around enough. I like that could be a problem. I don't know what him raising specifically the Ninja Turtles would be like. I guess they would also probably turn out about the same.
I think they'd be a lot more brutal.
Yeah.
They would not use sausages. They would use their actual weapons.
Well, that's true. Sure. Yeah, so you're saying if Daredevil raised specifically the watered-down Ninja Turtles in Secret of the Ooze.
Yeah. Next time, I won't use mustard.
I tell you what would happen if Batman raised the Ninja Turtles. They would find out what the secret of the ooze was. Because he's a detective, he would find that out for them. The secret of the ooze would not just be there's ooze. That's for sure.
The secret of the ooze is it's from a place.
Disposed.
I looked up Turtle Robins.
Disposed.
I googled Turtle Robins, and it took me to a dog's Facebook page. Apparently, Turtle Robins is currently in a relationship with Chevy Maloney.
Okay, this has gone off any rails it was ever on. Okay, so we are 5 minutes past the hour. Let's go ahead and unless there's another question we absolutely have to deal with, we can do final thoughts real quick if we're doing that now.
No, yeah, thoughts?
Hey, Brandon, you got any thoughts?
A
thought. You get one.
My thought is, why can we not
get along?
Well, no, not get along, but why can we not put our energies into like, what's the deal with continuing to poison our atmosphere with like fossil fuels and stuff? That's my final thought. Why can't we fix that?
What's the deal with fossil fuels?
Why have we not been able to fix that yet? It makes no sense to me why we do this.
DJ, do you have a thought?
I can't follow fossil fuels. I'm just excited to hear your
not
rant.
trying. What is your thought, DJ?
I don't have a thought, man. I'm just here to answer questions. I just relay other people's thoughts.
Oh, okay. Well, I won't keep putting you on the spot and trying to make you have a thought.
I have no thoughts on my own.
I'll start doing a thought at the end of the show if we remember to do it. I think this is a really fun idea.
I'll be prepared next time.
So here's my thought. Graphic artists, no offense, because I'm sure you're good at this, DJ. Oh, there's my girl. There she is. Graphic artists need to...
Is your thought that graphic artists suck? Because I'm going to have to leave the stream.
No, it's not. I don't know where I'd be without a really good graphic artist. Graphic artists should be sometimes more careful about making sure that their D's don't look like O's, and I'll tell you why. Because earlier today, we were about to watch something on my Fire Stick upstairs, and they always have advertisements for different things on the homepage for the Fire Stick, and it had 3 letters and some characters' faces next to the 3 letters. And my son just blurts out, Jason, he just blurts out, "Dad, that's false advertising. There's like 9 of them." And I said, "Wait, what do you mean 9? I was like, "Yeah, it's an advertisement for Walking Dead. Who cares how many faces there are?" And he goes, "Oh, that's an abbreviation for The Walking Dead, TWD?" He thought it said 2. He thought in big letters. The Walking Dead abbreviation logo said 2, and so he's just like,
9 of them.
There's 9 of them.
Whoops.
Amazing.
You're talking
yeah,
about
that's like one of the first things you learn.
So you got to be more. That's why I thought of that and wrote it down. I was like, I nearly tackled it there. So if we're doing thoughts later, I'm totally ending on the 2 TWD rant.
There you go.
So Philip Kelton threw in a super chat right at the end and ruined our whole ending. No, thanks a bunch, Philip. Splinter would not let Miller's Batman anywhere near his children. Well, no, I wouldn't think so either. But the idea was if Splinter didn't exist or wasn't around, I think. But yes, it would be fun to see Miller's Batman take on Splinter. What's the deal with graphic artists? All right, well, thanks a lot, everybody, for watching. This is a really fun show tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. Sorry about the rawness of this. I'm going to see if I can get my OBS and my YouTube to talk to each other like it used to. I don't know what the deal was with that. What's the deal with OBS? So anyway, now, DJ, I'm in a place again where if I hit that button, we are immediately broadcasting. Apparently.
That's good.
Apparently. So if you hit it again, will we be immediately not broadcasting?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Well, yeah, we're always not broadcasting, but the question is, will it still be linked? That I don't know. I don't know that. Yeah. Anyway, well, thanks again, folks. Hope you had a good time with us. We will see you again next Tuesday for another Captain Logan show. Ask Me Anything show, probably. Tomorrow night will be the premiere of the 3rd of now 4 parts of the Batman v Superman Superhero Rewind. Check in with me for that if you are so inclined. I'll be there in the comments during the premiere. It will stream as if it were a live show. Of course, it is pre-recorded, but we can all listen to it together beginning to end. If you want to chat with me, ask me anything in the comments, I will be around, and it will be about the length it was last week. It is almost another hour and 20 minutes, and it covers the next 50 minutes of that movie, building up to the final hour of mostly action and nonsensical speechifying. So look forward to that. And then the week after that, I am hoping to have the Superhero Rewind for the theatrical version of Justice League up, which will be significantly shorter. And then after that, the week after that, we're going to have to deal with the Snyder Cut, which we'll be doing a spoiler cast of some kind, I am sure. So all Snyder all the time here on Geekvolution for the next few weeks. And in the meantime, I was Captain Logan, and right next to me was Brandon Grimm.
'Twas I.
And a million miles away was DJ Martinez.
That's further than the moon.
It was hyperbolic.
What's the deal with the moon?
Far from home.
Very far from home. Later, folks. Bye, everybody.
Far from the moon.